In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red?
Gone are the days of pods and cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello and welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is Best Gen, the show where nerds complain about nerdy things, and we call it Best Gen because we all happen to be from the same gen, happen to think that it's the best, not because we as people were better, but because our entertainment was. Movies suck nowadays, and we want to complain about it. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
How
Doing
is
great.
everybody doing? We're joined by Jared, on the OG Jared Prime on the couch, newly married. Jared, you weren't with us last week because you were in Vegas, right?
I was, so I obviously can't tell you about it, but I was in Vegas. Yeah.
What do you mean?
No. See,
What happens in Vegas?
yeah, you can't talk about what.
No,
happened
no,
in
no, it
Vegas.
doesn't. What are you talking about? I knew a guy who got an STD in Vegas. It definitely didn't stay there.
I mean,
Did you
if
get-
it's mine,
did
it
you-
did.
Jared's a newlywed. He just got married. Did you get lucky in Vegas?
Congratulations!
I just wanted an excuse to use that stinger again.
I was
worked
gonna
really
say
hard
you
on
didn't
it.
get to use that last week, did you?
No. I worked really hard on that stinger. I wanted to use it again, okay? Let us know in the chat if you've recently had sex. We can play that one for you as well.
Wow. Okay.
It's a good stinger. We're also joined by Shadow Jared, whose video is turned off, so we'll introduce him later. We're joined by our brother David.
Hey.
David, you have things to plug now, don't you?
I do, yeah. I've got a YouTube channel on board game related. It's called Shelf Help Gaming.
It's called Shelf Help Gaming. The
Yeah.
link is in the description. You can go
Fantastic.
Oh god, I can't believe I'm about to say this. You can go help your shelf to some games.
That's the tagline.
Quit being so shellfish, Alan.
So stupid. I can't believe I said that. Yeah, you haven't even responded to any of my comments I'm leaving on your videos, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got a YouTube
I
channel. He goes into like deep. Well, he's got a lot of board games,
Yep.
so it's cool.
Yeah, a lot of board games across 2 whole videos so far. So.
Yeah, he hasn't made a lot of videos
Has
on them
nothing
yet.
to do with,
He hasn't made a lot of videos yet, but he does have
Yeah.
a lot of video games already, board games already.
Yes,
Nice,
yes.
nice. I mean, I need those guides, bro. I'm struggling with them board games, bro. You Americans do some really
Yeah.
complex board games. Also the Europeans ones, but you Anglo-Saxons.
We also spend a lot of money on board games. It's
Yeah.
one of those white privilege
bad.
things.
Especially during COVID, you're stuck at home with nothing to do. I'm like, I think I'm going to buy some board games.
I mean, I will use that money to buy video games, but I'm just a Gen Z.
Yeah.
I don't like to read.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fair. That's fair. We're joined. He's been talking already for a while. We are joined by the angry Mexa
Yeah,
from
it's nice to be back. Nice to be
from
back.
the sweet south of Mexico itself.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, how goes the I don't the flag? I guess I don't know.
I
How you
mean,
doing?
it's been a funny week, bro. There's a festival for some reason. There's like
There's always a
yeah,
fest.
there's always a
There's
festival.
always a festival.
Yeah, there's always a festival, and there's always like fireworks. But I don't get used to it because sometimes they sound like gunshots. So yeah, which is also
Well, and
pretty usual.
sometimes there are gunshots too, but
Yeah, it's pretty usual. It's also pretty usual. So yeah, yeah. Now and then you gotta be aware of which is which. But yeah, it's just
one of my fondest memories from being in Mexico. I love Mexico, by the way. I was in some very dangerous places though. I had a couch thrown at me from the second story. I was walking down the street. Somebody, I was a missionary down there. If let's not bury the lead. Someone saw me and said, "Hey, misionero!" I looked up and I get like a love seat, a 2-seater full couch, just chucked at me from the second floor.
They've heard the missionaries help people move, so they just thought that you would.
It was so funny. I wasn't even mad. It was hilarious. It
Bro,
hurt it really hurt though.
Oh, it actually hit you.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. I thought he just
failed the
threw it at
dexterity
you.
roll,
I
so,
looked up and bam.
damn, bro. Yeah, them
You
Mexicans
need to
are
tell that
wild,
story
bro.
differently. You said I had a couch thrown at me, not I was hit by a couch thrown out the second window.
I'm sorry. I thought that was implied.
No, something thrown at you does not imply that it hit you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of funnier if you say that it hit you.
Yeah.
Like I said, he
Oh,
failed his
Lord.
dex roll. We were expecting you to pass it.
Yeah. Yeah, being missionary work in Mexico is wild. Like I done it myself. In my school, I went to Catholic school, so they made us go to some pretty dark places. Let me tell you, yes, and not because they don't have any lights. No, they were dark because. But yeah, let's get into it. Yeah.
I loved it though. I love Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico has some good things. Has a lot of bad, but you always take the good with the bad.
Yeah, a couple things I wish they did differently, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then we're joined by Beardless. He's been talking, so he's also Jared. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. We've got the finale of House of the Dragon to discuss because we're a whole week behind. And we've got Andor episode 8. Episode 8.
Yep.
And per the chat's request, some of us watched the Peripheral.
Some of us watched some of the Peripheral.
Yeah, I only watched the first 2 episodes. Apparently, there's a new one out. I think it came out yesterday, and I was like, "Oops, I don't have time."
Nah, but the first 2 episodes are enough, I believe.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. There's also a lot of news, with some good and some bad, right? So we were just talking about Henry Cavill on The Witcher, right? We were talking about that. Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about that last week.
Yeah, we were talking about how The Witcher was like a decent show.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Season 3 canceled.
No, not that. You guys haven't heard the news?
Yeah,
You guys.
yeah, I heard about this. It's very
Okay.
sad.
Well. So the good news is Henry Cavill is back as Superman. Like officially, they're gonna do a Man of Steel 2 because you don't have to have liked the movies he's been in, but you have to admit that his casting as Superman is absolutely perfect.
Mhm. Yeah, the first time I saw him, yeah, it was he was insane. I was like, oh, that guy looks just like how I almost imagine Superman.
Yeah. So that's one good thing, and then the bad thing. Oh no, wrong one. The bad thing is that he's not coming back to The Witcher season 4.
That's odd.
That's surprising.
It's not.
They should be able to
it may
balance
be-
those two. They should be able to schedule him out. I mean,
Well,
It's-
that's not the reason.
No, I don't think that's the
No, it's not surprising because I've been paying attention while some of my co-hosts here on the show walk around life with their eyes shut tight, completely ignoring the circumstances of reality.
What I've heard so far is Henry Cavill is a huge Witcher fan. He went out and
yes.
did research, and he said that he said previously that he wanted to keep playing Geralt until they stopped making Witcher content.
That's
so
because there's more news you don't know about yet, David.
apparently so, yeah.
So yeah, Henry Cavill is a huge. Is it Cavill or Cavill?
Cavill is.
I
usually hear
I'm gonna
Cavill.
say Cavill. That sounds cooler. Henry Cavill.
Yes.
So he's a huge Witcher fan. He'd already read the books and played the games before he was cast. He's also a massive nerd. Like he was huge into World of Warcraft. He builds his own gaming PCs. This
That was
dude is
insane.
this dude is like the good version of a Chad, which is crazy because he's also freaking ripped. So I like this man. Yeah, and we were talking about last time how he was known for on set of The Witcher correcting people, saying, "Hey, this is actually what it says in the books," which is part of the reason why he will not be returning to season 4. Because this news also dropped. There was a producer / writer for the Witcher show who left the show for these reasons. So it's confirmed that half of the writers hate the source material.
That's unfortunate.
which just begs the question: why the heck are you involved in writing for a show that's based on material that you actively dislike?
We know the answer.
I mean, yeah, but why
We
would,
know
why
the
would
answer to
their
that
producers?
question.
Why would their bosses then hire them if it's like I don't even like the show? Like
It's because it's
Friends of friends.
we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it. We've already seen it time and time again. Though they don't care about the source material; they care about the message.
I believe that usually how these writers get their job, there's a term in Mexico, they use it a lot. It's called palanca, and it's basically that you have help from someone basically someone
nepotism,
powerful,
yeah.
nepotism,
Palanca,
basically.
I like that one.
Yeah, palanca.
But
Yeah, and when they say that you have palanca because you didn't deserve the job, and they just hire you because you know someone.
But it's not just Palanca. It's not just Palanca, guys. I'm sure that there's definitely some of that involved, but we've seen it time and time again. Like they use these high profile IPs to create shows where they can inject their own identity politics.
Yep.
I mean, and you kind of saw it in season 2. Geralt was hardly in it.
Yeah. It was all about
Jennifer.
It was still okay because every time he was on screen, he just exudes awesomeness. But like even the dialogue that they gave him for season 2, it was all every line out of his mouth was telling Ciri how amazing she was.
How she was
Which
the
is
key,
not,
basically.
like, and that's the thing. Like we don't like we like Ciri as a character. Like if anyone's played the games, like people love Ciri. The problem is that you do it at the sacrifice of the strong male character.
And not only that, but at this point of the story, Siri is not even that important.
She's only relevant when she gets older. Okay, like,
Yes, and really relevant. I love Siri, but right now she's just an annoying little girl, literally. But she's already a teenager.
So
Indeed.
coming back to this headline here, I'd like to pose a question to you guys. This is something that's been talked about before on online forums and other YouTube commentators. Do you think that it is important to be a fan of the source material if you're going to be involved in writing or producing a show
Absolutely.
based on some content? Do you think it's absolutely
Yes, but
necessary to be a fan of the show before?
If you're saying involved, not necessarily, but in charge, yes.
I would say that it's not necessarily important that they were a fan of the source material, but you have to educate yourself about the source material, and you have to respect it. You definitely can't actively dislike the source material.
That's where I land. For me, my personal opinion would be you need to respect the source material, because I can understand that there's room to argue that there may not be. It's more important to present a good show, but if you're doing so at the expense of the source material, you can change the source material. They did that with the Lord of the Rings. And there's a lot of places where you need to adapt and change the source material for what you're presenting on screen. Because they're different mediums, but you need to still have respect for it. And even if you didn't have a love for it beforehand, you should have the respect to be involved, like know what's going on. I think Tony Gilroy with Andor and Rogue One are actually great examples of that, because he was not a Star Wars guy. He's not a big Star Wars guy, but he has the care and respect to have taken time to figure out how his story and what he wants to tell can fit into the Star Wars universe. And how he can stay true to what exists, to that existing lore, and move forward with that to tell his story.
I agree, yeah.
And like you said, you
I'd
don't
add
even
to that.
have. I'm sorry. Continue.
Well, I was just going to say, I'd add to that I think that it's important that you don't necessarily have to like it, because sometimes, you're just given a project, especially as a producer or a writer, right? Like, they just come to you and they say, hey, like, we want you on this project, right? And sometimes you don't have to like it. But I think it certainly helps when you like it to be able to tell the story better, right? And to be able to tell it the right way. And
I think if you aren't a fan of it, or if you're not familiar with it, it's your duty as someone in charge, either a writer, producer, and even an actor, to go out and research that and become familiar with it.
Yeah.
And hire people that are experts on it and can inform you and give you guidance throughout the way. And what we've seen so far with a lot of these shows is they don't take that into consideration. They consulted Brandon Sanderson on the Wheel of Time, and we know they ignored a lot of his advice. With the Rings of Power, they
fired Tom Shippey.
The lore expert, all the while, bragging about having used Tom Shippey in all of their interviews backstage, and they fired him because he said, "Hey, you guys are going too far off canon."
And I thought I'd also heard that they were supposed to have sent the scripts to Peter Jackson to review, and he says he never got anything. He was just sitting there waiting for him to send him something.
They even say that they ghosted him, right? He was like, "Hey, where's the script?" And I want to read it. Obviously, because
it actually makes me wonder whether they had scripts at all, because the way that how poorly put together the story was with that.
Probably they didn't.
Maybe
some.
I think the other thing that I think is at least worth noting is just being a fan is also not good enough on its own, because you need to also know how to tell a story, how to present a story, how to put together the pieces that actually need to be done for that. So it's
absolutely.
I'd even argue that's more important than being a fan.
Well, that's why I said
just the step above being respectful of it. Know what you're doing as a filmmaker or TV maker, and then respect the source material, and then the rest.
Right.
And that's why I said, just to be involved on the project, you don't have to be a super fan of the source material. It's actually good if you have one person who isn't, right, and who's only steeped on storytelling, and one person who is, and you work together to find a happy medium.
I'd argue that's kind of what you get with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Maybe not exactly, but Jon Favreau really knows how to do movies, and he's well steeped in all that.
You're picking a bad example for
maybe not the best example for you guys, but And I don't know if anybody
I
else
get what
watched,
you're.
Tales
I
of
get
the
what you're
Jedi.
saying.
Yeah.
I just I'm not.
And
a
I
fan
think
of,
that they do at least.
I'm not a
decent
fan
job.
of Dave Filoni. So
Yeah, I think they do at least a decent job, even if they maybe don't do the most amazing. Like I still really enjoy most of what they've done, and I think that is an example of somebody who.
Yeah. If
is
you pick all of
really
the Star
involved in
Wars
lore
stuff, the Mandalorian is the one where you can tell they kind of care about the source material.
Yeah. Which, if there is some time and we feel like it, I don't know if anybody else here watched Tales of the Jedi, but it was actually very good.
I did, yeah. It was okay.
I really liked it.
I saw the one scene and I was like, nope, I'm not going to watch this.
Which scene is that?
The Ahsoka scene. She's
Ahsoka
a baby,
is Jedi?
and
Yeah.
she's.
Yeah, that part was ridiculous. I didn't like the first episode really, but there was 2 episodes that I really enjoyed out of the 6, and the rest were okay. Yeah.
Not interested. Star Wars is dead to me.
Quite like it.
You say that as we're watching Andor right now.
I do.
It's pretty good.
I'm enjoying Andor. I don't.
It's not dead.
I'm enjoying the show. I don't care about Star Wars anymore. It is dead to me.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to get to that point. In spite of all my own actual complaints, I refuse to get to that point. I will be a diehard Star Wars fan in spite of what they want to do.
Yep.
For quite a long time. They're going to have to do quite a lot worse than what they have done in order to get to give up on it.
I will go to my grave kicking and screaming and complaining about everything they're doing to Star Wars, but I will not stop being a fan because
I'll still complain. I'll still complain about Star Wars, but I'm like that. The tug on my heartstrings has been severed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't physically get excited for Star Wars anymore because I've seen it. I've been burned too many times, and I'm not a Star Wars fan anymore.
Yeah,
I'll always be a fan of the OGs.
I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I'm still going to watch it. I'm still going to critique it because I need to do that. But I'm not. I don't. Man, it's such a bummer too. I was. Oh.
So this. Did we ever actually get to discuss, what happened with Henry Cavill? I mean, because it seems like we got to this point and then, we got a little sidetracked.
They let him go because they feel like he's too tied to the books and stuff that they don't even like.
Yeah. Oh, and he's being replaced with Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that.
When was the last time you saw a movie that was decent with Liam Hemsworth? Like at least decent.
Was he in those Divergent movies? Is that what he?
I don't even remember what.
No, he was on
the
game of the Hunger Games.
He was in the Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Okay.
No,
the guy main love interest.
Who?
Yes. Well,
he's
one of the
older. The friend, the one that's not there most of the time.
He's the one with black hair, beard.
Yeah, I don't care.
Gotcha.
Me neither.
It does feel like Henry Cavill was perfect, and now we're losing a.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go to a subpar replacement, but
I won't.
But I have a theory. I
won't watch this
maybe he's getting casted as a Targaryen. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Ooh, Game of Thrones season 2 or 3.
I mean, he's already English, so.
Are there any major players from the books that aren't introduced yet?
I think
the
sons, maybe the sons of Rhaenyra
grown up.
Yeah, but it's hard.
Well,
no, there's
one of her sons.
But I forgot the name, but they said someone.
Yes, Henry
Maybe
Cavill
not.
is a gift for the eyeballs. That's for He looks good. I wish I could look like him.
Liam Hemsworth is not bad on the eyes. He's not Henry Cavill, but he's
a bad actor. I mean, Henry Cavill is good on the eyes. He's a hard worker. He's a nerd. He's a lord loyalist. I mean, he calls himself a lord loyalist.
Well,
and
we got him back as Superman, so that's one win.
Yeah, but Superman, it's.
What's funny though is as soon as the Superman thing was announced, I saw a bunch of fake news articles on Twitter, and I have searched for them for the show, and I cannot find the receipts. But there were a bunch of people on Twitter who had like doctored, they just had like a photoshopped like news article, but there was no like link to the news article talking about how Henry Cavill had an interview talking about Rings of Power and how much he loved it, specifically Morfydd Clark's performance. He said she was phenomenal. I have done so much Googling, it does not exist. But you have people who hate nerddom so much that once Henry Cavill was announced as returning to Superman, they thought, "Oh, we gotta kick these nerds where they like it the most,
Where they hurt,
and
yeah.
sully his name by saying he liked Rings of Power."
Yeah, that's bad for the reputation.
Those tweets are now gone, I assume, because they were reported for misinformation, because they were lies.
Yeah,
That's insane.
Yeah, sad day, that's for sure.
I did find this though. There's
What?
There's a lot of this on Twitter.
What the heck?
Don't
What?
don't look it up. I have seen things
Oh dear.
you have not seen. I have seen my share.
beyond the comprehension of man at the edge of space. Madness creeps. Don't. There are some sick people who were really shipping Galadriel and Sauron, and they are not human.
Yeah, I chalk that up to the same. You get all sorts of fan/fiction or whatever, and it's like, all right, yep, sure, you go off and do your thing, whatever. But that's just your fanfic.
I stared into the darkness, and the darkness looked back at me. But sometimes you gotta touch the darkness to realize that rocks sink. What show do you guys want to talk about first?
Hot D.
Well, the only
Hot
one I've
D?
seen is Andor.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Andor real quick? Yeah. I think we can get through Andor really quick.
Yeah, Juandor.
Because not a lot really happened, right?
Yeah.
I liked it though.
It was good. It was better than the last episode, but still, I wasn't really invested in anything that was happening to Andor. Actually, I thought the stuff that was happening with the rebellion behind the scenes on his home world was more interesting.
Totally.
But yeah, it was fine. It was good.
I surprisingly really liked the Andor prison stuff, which is a reversal of what I said last week. I was saying last episode was unnecessary, and Jared, you've only seen like the first 2 episodes, right?
I was gonna say, I haven't seen all of them.
We won't get super spoilery, but I really liked how unique it was. When they first show up and they did the electrocution thing, I was like, all right, that's kind of excessive. like to build this whole facility around that and make all the guards wear boots. I was like, it's a little bit ridiculous. But the more the episode went on, I was like, that's just like efficient. I liked it, and it was interesting world building that I'd never seen in Star Wars before. And it kind of helped to like explain the all-powerful Empire, right? Like in the movies, it's kind of just like glossed over that. Oh yeah, they just keep having resources, right? They just have more stuff always. It doesn't matter how many things you blow up, they keep coming back with more. And you're like, how much money are they spending on this? And this episode was like, oh, it's just slave labor. Like this facility is giant. Like it just I don't know, something just like clicked inside me, and I was like, I thought it was a really nice touch. It was also like scratching that same itch that like watching like how it's made does, with like the machinery and stuff. I was like, I could literally watch these guys just build crap for a long time. Like it was fun to watch, and it was boring. Like nothing happened, but I was engrossed. I was like, I could just watch this forever.
Yeah.
And I liked how dark it got at the end with the
With one other prisoner.
word. I don't think we can say it on YouTube. With the crispy guy.
Yeah.
And there were also subtle. There was just it was really subtle world building. Like when you had Andor on his first day, just like watching everybody, and you saw those two guys like signing to each other, like across the hall. Like there was just so many little details where you can see like, okay, he's just absorbing information and trying to figure out how to get out of here, and I liked it. It was really good. And then also
I even really liked the way that they had a kind of tiered system set up where you had
it just like
that was pretty fun to see.
This is like the ultimate way to motivate people who have nothing. You're like you take when you take away everything and then like gift little chunks back, like it was just the perfect system of control. Obviously, I'm not like looking up to these guys as a role model, but it was admirable. Like this is an efficient system, and it made the Empire more scary to me.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jacob made a great point that there were no aliens on this scene, and so it really smells like cheap to me.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. Although they did make some points about when they were sorting him right after he was sentenced, that they were going based on homeworld.
Okay.
So while I think it was a cost saving measure to not have aliens, to me that it fit within the universe well enough because there's still a lot of humans and very human looking.
And I think like even if you had aliens like in the same prison system, you would want to like segregate based on race, just for like practical reasons.
Yeah, or perhaps they will eat each other or something.
A little bit, but yeah.
I'm not saying segregation is good, guys. I'm saying it's practical. No, but for a prison system, like different races require different foods and like
different environments. Different races, they are different species.
So like
probably
a little bit of segregation, maybe okay.
Don't be a speciest. Yeah, I was wondering about that, but the whole episode, in my opinion, it was perfectly written. The direction was kind of meh, but there were the editing. The editing was surprising for me because we had a pretty terrible editing throughout the show, exception of episode 6, which was really good. But the last episode was
this one had transitions, really clever transitions between the scenes that were going on. It was good editing. It was good direction.
Not only that, but it was like you never felt bored with a scene because quickly they will change into another story and then to another story, and then they will return to the main one, and then if it was needed, they would put two similar ones or ones that they were referencing each other, like the part with the Imperial one and the Andor, in this cell or whatever. So I really like the editing in this episode.
And when it was slow, it had a reason, right? Like it's showing this prison system, and it's also cutting between him and the other guy in his cubicle prison thing, right? Which we talked about the other guy's arc, and last week,
the former ISB agent guy, whatever.
To
me, it seems like they're leaning into just keeping them all bad, but
I don't know. I was scared. I got scared this episode. I was like, oh no, they're gonna do the thing that I didn't want them to do. But then he kind of gets rejected for no reason, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, of course he would be a good asset. But like the Empire is kind of prejudiced. And I'm like, I still hope it would be so good if they go the other way.
I think so too.
I really want them to. I want it so badly.
But I don't think they're gonna. I mean,
got
they're probably
the balls.
gonna make
They don't
him.
got that. They don't got that
progression.
balls to
Yeah.
do it. Okay.
They don't have
I
the
just
balls.
don't see how they could make that progression, like how they could connect that. So, yeah. We'll see.
I bet that they are going to make him try himself to prove himself worthy of the Empire. You know, he's going to
I
do
think
something
gonna end
good.
up
He's
getting
probably going
himself
to
killed trying to do this.
prediction here. He's going to find Andor, and he's going to find that he's in the I don't want to spoil it too much, but they are probably going to. He is the one that's going to go through a lot of records, just obsessing over it. Probably going to be a montage in the next episode. But he's the one who's going to find him, and he's going to tell obviously the female Imperial whatever.
He's gonna get punished for it.
Yes, and then she's going to say, "Okay, come into my team." And maybe if there's a season 2, we're going to see him go to the good side. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen this season. But they said there was no season 2, right? Something like that.
I think
they've got plans for season 2 at the very least. I think they've had it greenlit, and I think they're working on it. But
because we know that Alan Tudyk has been signed on to reprise his role as K2SO, and he wasn't.
For this,
Jared, you heard a report that he wasn't going to be in season 1, right?
That's what I've heard so far. I've heard that he's not going to be in season 1, but he'll be back. He'll be in for season 2, and that they have plans for the season 2. It'll be another 12 episodes, and unlike this season, which over the 12 episodes is taking the course of a year, the next season, each of the 3 episodes is going to be a year themselves. So we're 5 years away from Rogue One now, and then we'll have first 3 episodes, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 or something.
That's good. That makes me think that they have a plan that is just going to be like 2 seasons and that's it. It's like a full story. Put a cap on it.
That's good.
And I always
that's what I like to hear.
Yeah. So I think that's what they'll go. The other thing that I guess the most that I could see them doing with this character is kind of doing a Javert from Les Miserables, where he can't reconcile this like. This is a good guy.
Two things, yeah.
But I'm so stuck on
that would be a really good way to do it.
And have him being like, I just can't do this anymore and just be done. That one, I think I can see him getting to that point. I can't see him getting to a point of being like, that's it. I'm working against the Empire. I'm working as a rebel. I can't see him doing that even in the eyes of like the Empire is a bad order. I think he's just so lawful. He just can't. He can't do it.
That's a good angle to go through it because they've had the turncoat before several times. Former Empire leaders and commanders or whatever turncoat, and they become spies for the rebellion. They've done that so many times.
Yeah,
and that I think that would be a nice spin on it. He doesn't fully join the rebellion, but maybe he realizes he's caught up and he lets him escape or something. And that lets him get the Death Star plans or something. I don't know.
Get eventually to that point or something. Yeah.
So Jared, you haven't seen any of this. What do you think?
You've watched.
You watched the first 2 episodes.
2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are mad. This show sucks.
Bro, I thought the same thing in the first 2 episodes, but
no, he's trying to be contrarian. He disagrees with me so often.
Well, okay, so this is the worst thing. So they're trying to tell the backstory, right? And so to tell the backstory, they go into a stupid back tank, and then so every time they go back into the back tank, I'm like, gosh darn it, why do I have to go back into this stupid
You're watching the wrong show.
Oh wait, okay, hold on.
That's Book of Boba Fett. You're not wrong there. Yeah.
No, it was really good. I because the funny thing is I'd heard you guys really liked it, and so my wife and we started watching it, and we're like, okay, we got to pick this thing apart to see what is bad about this, and we found that we we didn't have a lot of bad stuff to say about it. In fact, I actually really liked, like, it's very artistic. A lot of the shots like are very artistic with how
Beautiful shots.
they frame it and how they've got lights, and they're like trying to show you and focus your eye at certain parts and things like that.
It doesn't feel like it's made by Disney.
Well,
Yeah,
one of the things is it is not being made in the volume like they have been doing for all the other shows up until now.
Yeah, I think this definitely feels more like a Mandalorian sort of show, which is why I really like it. It definitely moves a little slow, but the story's been really good. Like every time I'm like, oh shoot, what? Like I gotta watch another episode because I have no idea. Like, who's this girl? Like, what's her importance? Like, okay, and I was gonna say too, like, I was really surprised that they literally start out the show with him killing 2 guards, right? And you're like, oh shoot, like who is this character that we're supposedly going to be following the whole time, right? Like, what's his conscience? Like what sorts of choices drive this man? Like, what's his history? So there's all these questions that have definitely like started to come up, and it's like, okay, what is it about this character? And so, yeah, we've actually really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. We feel like they've been pretty interesting to watch, and definitely want to watch in the next ones to see kind of where it goes.
They get better. Let me tell you that they get better. The third one is going to surprise you, and then it continuously gets better, and that's the best. That's the best thing about this show. Is nothing like the Rings of Power, which continuously kept getting worse or something.
Don't say that name, please. Don't.
Okay, the one who's not
the show who will not be named. Okay,
Voldemort.
Thank you very much.
So yeah,
I literally get like triggered just hearing the. Oh God. Oh.
Don't worry, bro. It's 2 years.
Trigger you even worse with another name, but I won't.
2 years ago. 2 years and a half.
David, you're muted, by the way.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm saying I look forward to your thoughts on episode 3, because episode 3 is really good, and then the next 3 after that, because it's kind of like 3.
Yeah.
Or 4 3-story arcs.
Each of the third episodes, every third episode is really seems to be a big culmination, like a big deal, and the best of what it's been leading up to.
Yeah.
I really have enjoyed the way that each of the other ones have built to that. It has been a good build the entire time.
It's called setup and payoff, something that did not exist in Rings of Power.
No.
Or in Disney Star Wars before.
Yeah.
Well,
or even in The Mandalorian, there is a little bit of payoff like in individual episodes, but like they don't know how to set stuff up.
Yeah. Mandalorian is very much an episodic adventure. And that's fun for what it is, and packed with Easter eggs left and right.
It's fine.
But this one is very well done storytelling arcs that pay off character development,
foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Lots of show don't tell. It's just fantastic.
But
it's
that's why
too, because we know where this character ends up. We know he dies.
I didn't think I'd care about him.
We're still invested in his journey
and how he becomes who he is at the beginning, even at the beginning of Rogue One. So because that is a progression, but again, this circles back to what we were talking about at the very beginning, where it's because these writers and the directors and the producers and the people involved with this are good storytellers, and they care enough to make sure that they're doing it right. They're not just
I'm like on the edge of my seat. I really hope they explain where he got those dangly fuzzy dice. So, because I just feel like we'll just have unanswered questions, if they don't do that. So, David, Jacob Ironside just subscribed to your channel, and I want to shout out Jacob Ironside too. I saw on Twitter you're like 10 subs away from getting 100 subscriptions.
Nice.
I'm gonna
go to his channel. He's got some interesting.
I'm gonna go to his channel right now.
He's got some good stuff on there.
Depending on what you want to do with the flow, I would say that talking about quality of storytelling and show don't tell, Well, that's the other show we're talking about today. The Hot D.
Hot D, baby.
Hot diggity D.
Yeah, let's transition with some bad takes because I've got one on Star Wars. So here, oh shoot, I've got too many stingers now. It's hard to find.
Screen Rants. Bad takes.
CBR is asking hard-hitting questions. Why?
Oh my gosh.
Why fans believe that I gotta read the title.
Sorry.
Okay. Why fans believe Luthen's assistant is Princess Leia in disguise? They're dumb. Because they're stupid.
Mhm.
Because Disney Star Wars has pruned their audience down to the stub, and all that's left over are morons. Why
And
would
me,
she
right?
be Princess Leia?
I'm not one of.
Yeah, it's in Princess Leia right now, like a baby or something.
No,
Yeah.
she's,
Well, no,
she's
this
probably
is 5
14,
years
15.
before the original trilogy.
Okay, so she's
so
like a
14 years old.
teenager, right?
Yeah, she's a teenager and she's studying under her adopted father, who's Senator Organa, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So she's doing
What? I don't even.
senatorial duties and things like that.
This is the worst. Like, it's so stupid.
It's just it's a dark-haired female that bears a passing resemblance to Carrie Fisher at that age. No,
Kawaii.
that's so dumb.
Like, what-
It's because
Kawaii.
Alan. It's because all white. People
Oh
look
no!
alike.
It's because she resembles Princess Leia.
It's because all white people look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Which
That's
is
it.
kind of-
Which
But she probably isn't.
I just
Well,
love
gotta
the
cover
like.
the
She
bases.
likely isn't.
yeah.
No, she's not.
She's objectively not Princess Leia.
I love my references and Easter eggs and connections,
Exactly.
but no, like this is reaching so hard. No.
Yeah, they have nothing in common. Literally, the whole facial structure is completely different, and probably not even the same height and in complexion.
I actually, especially now, especially in that scene, I can see a resemblance to young Carrie Fisher. I can
Carrie
see
Fisher, sure.
kind of Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, but here's the thing:
But
if she was Princess Leia, her character just ordered the. Okay, Jared, close your ears. Close your ears.
Okay, all right.
Her character just ordered the death of Andor against her employer's wishes. Would you want this character to be Princess Leia?
Yep. Exactly.
Oh, Mark has a comment there.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. There's your filter.
On my beard filter.
You got to keep your hands up there the rest of the stream, Jared.
I don't know if this is any better because it's the same color. It's still white.
Yeah, do you have like one of those Instagram filters where you can?
Yeah, I haven't messed with any of the filter stuff.
Nah,
You know,
bro. Nah,
taking
bro.
any
You
stuff
gotta
to
do a
filters.
mustacho in your finger, and just put it right there. And you're good to go, bro.
Yeah. Also, why would she be in disguise?
Yeah.
Why would she be
It makes
being
absolutely no sense.
this assistant at some random, antiquities shop on Coruscant when she's supposed to be a senator in 5 years from now?
This definitely isn't the worst take
Nah, bro.
we've ever
but
seen
you
on the
don't have
show,
to study
but it's the
for that.
stupidest. It's
It's
so
dumb.
Yeah. And I bet they pulled this just from some random Reddit thread. Someone just threw it out there, hasn't gotten any traction, and they're like, "Ooh, an article."
and probably even just one person saying like, "Huh, she kind of looks like Leia," and that's all. Like they weren't even saying, "I wonder if it is Leia." They're just like, "Oh," or again, it could be somebody who like literally has not watched anything but the first the originals like way back when, and then they watch this and they're like, "Is that Leia?" Because they don't know where the time period is or anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Okay, but we got more bad takes, everybody. Why Black Panther 2 only has one credit scene, explained the producer.
Because
Bec-
what? Because Marvel movies now do 2 post-credit scenes.
No, they have like 6 now. That's the problem, guys.
Credit scenes.
What?
Yeah.
Uh,
They're so.
No, we're only getting 1 post-credit stinger,
shit.
guys. I am not looking forward to watching.
I love
this
my
movie.
post-credit
Yeah,
stingers,
me
but yeah, they are not the most important thing.
Seen the clips that they've released promoting.
Oh my god, those clips are.
I haven't caught any
It
of
look it is so bad. This movie is going to be a joke, and there's nothing.
that's unfortunate.
I'm sorry that the actor died, but he was the only redeeming quality of the
Mhm.
first movie. Like,
Yes.
oh my god,
He had a lot of respect for the character. It shows.
Yeah, definitely.
and this, I mean, this show. I mean, you can see from the trailer, like they're just going to be milking his death. Right, they're gonna try and tug on you. Oh, it's so sad. Chadwick Boseman died, and,
Mhm.
and which is kind of like antithetical to his attitude towards his illness, which he hid from the world
Exactly.
because he didn't want to make it about that. And
Yeah. And they made it about that.
this movie's gonna be
literally.
garbage. The clips
Yeah.
look so
Yeah.
bad. The act, oh my goodness, the acting is the worst.
The accents,
terrible.
bro.
It's like Morphed Clark trying to over enunciate her pronunciations. Like it is bad. It's really bad. But
I'll have to see the movie and see what I think.
Jared, this will warm your cackles.
Yes.
Oh dear.
So you know how Vulcans, they like logic is important to Vulcans, right? You know, like that's like their one defining characteristic is that it's
all about logic. Yeah.
So you gotta slot. They do they do logic stuff, right? Okay, so that because they're a race of logic boys. So Jared, you once asked me why I hate the current Star Trek so much because Alex Kurtzman is in charge, and because they do stuff like this. The show is so injected with their garbage politics. It's so freaking stupid. Let's read this comic strip. Hey, who wants to? Someone want to do voices with me? Is anyone really good at doing like a black voice?
Band only one.
Does anyone want to step into that?
I'm the brownest one, so I suppose.
That's the Vulcan too? Okay.
No. The Vulcan shows up later.
Okay. I was
Vulcan's
like,
at the bottom. See,
but he's got pointed ears, so I was like,
He does have slightly pointy ears. Yeah, that's what
this
I
guy
was
might be like half Vulcan. Okay,
The
so
angles look like it, but then from the back, the second panel, it doesn't look like they're.
Okay, so he's like, yo, Dr. Beverly Crusher. I was on my way to med base. I'm gonna do the
I'm my phone.
someone do the women's voice, please. I can't do
that. I'm sure you were luckily brought to medbay.
Oh man, that's tight. Your eagerness to volunteer for this mission raised some eyebrows.
Not among those who know me. There's nothing I love more than a good medical mystery, and you might be the best one since Proximity Plague. Let the record show that the captain is of sound health and body. Authorization, Crusher Alpha 5. Record logged. Don't make me a liar. Doctor's orders.
That's right. I'm the captain, yo. Oh, did my reputation not precede me, doctor? I love following orders. Someone's got to be the Vulcan.
All right. Here's the Vulcan. Jared, you got OG Jared, you're the Vulcan.
Yeah, Jared, you're going to be the Vulcan.
Fine. If I might, sir, I do have a query.
Tour, don't. I guess that's his character's name. Don't do it. No one wants to hear.
I apologize for any secondhand embarrassment, Lily, but logic dictates I act in the best interest of the the Theseus and their crew.
Her crew. Ships are girls. Everybody
Oh my
knows it, you
gosh.
dummy.
It's the ship's
The
pronouns.
gender binary is illogical, and we both know it.
Sorry, can you? I didn't quite hear it. Can you read that line again, please?
The gender binary is illogical, and we both know it.
It's no need to stand out ceremony.
Oh wait, no, I don't know who's asking that. That's probably the
No, that's the
It's
captain.
probably
Ask-
the
no, no.
captain.
ask
yeah.
away. No, because he's like
It's off screen and
okay.
And then it's on
that person's
Yeah.
talking.
The
so it's
gender binary is illogical, and we both know it.
But not only that, that's stupid on its front. But they're arguing about the gender of a
The
ship.
ship.
It's an inanimate object. Like, oh my gosh,
Okay.
how
They are-
stupid!
They
Can
are
you be?
brain dead. They are damaged.
Oh,
And
Yes.
it's a Vulcan saying it.
yep.
That's what's most illogical of all of it, literally.
All right, Jared, this
Makes
is
no
where you
sense.
come out with your defense.
All right,
Well,
tell us how Star Trek is. It's still good.
Hey, so your argument with Star Trek being bad was that it wasn't like, okay, so you really liked the originals because the originals made you have to think, right? So it like would put you in these
No, because
these
the originals
ethical-
didn't. Because the originals didn't tell you how to think. But go on.
Okay, yes, that is how you said it. But anyway, so I think that they're trying to do that, but yes, I think they probably are maybe telling you more than just saying like, look, what do you think about this particular situation? Because I've noticed while watching them that they definitely do have these situations that, you know, could make you think about your views on these particular policies, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it has to do with the fact that they have to tell this, right? They have to say, oh yeah, like this person is, you know, non-binary or whatnot, right? And so by saying that, then it's like, okay, we're explicitly addressing this issue, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, they're still trying to bring up these concerning ethical questions, aren't they? Especially for today. Like these are the ethical questions of today: is binary genders and races and things like that.
But they're having the Vulcan character say
Yes,
that
yes.
the gender binary is illogical. Probably the most logical thing in existence because it's prevalent throughout all existence.
Yes,
All of biology, yeah.
all living beings. Well,
Yeah,
like,
there are some
there's-
weird exceptions, but it's the same percentage of exceptions
sure.
that
All-
happen in humans too. So
All mammals for sure, yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, because this is also Star Trek, where like all of these races could be totally different. Like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe they aren't all you know, male and female, or maybe they aren't all binary genders, right? Like, I think there's an
Sure.
example of in some of the earlier Star Treks too, where there are creatures or races that don't express gender at all, right? Like
Mhm.
they're just genderless, even though
Sure.
they're portrayed as a man or a woman on screen.
Yeah, I think
Sure,
that's all
yeah,
there,
but-
but I do agree with the fact that they're rather than just presenting you with good examples of where this may be different than what we're used to or what we expect. Again, I provide you with the Orville as a great example of, while it's not pronouns, looking at transgender issues with the Mocklins and all of that's involved, that they didn't tell you this. That even the characters thought that this was right or this was wrong, but they explored kind of the depth of it, and they showed instances and situations where maybe it wouldn't be as cut and dry as what we are used to from what we have seen growing up, as opposed to just saying a line saying, "Oh, this is what it is," and I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that
exactly.
they would do that sometimes in old Star Trek, where they're like, "Oh yeah," well, especially Next Gen, where they'd say like, "Oh yeah, this was back when they believed in these sorts of things," you know, and something that's very common and prevalently held at the time. Like, oh yeah, they used to believe that was really important, and they're being rather dismissive of it. This isn't the worst that I've seen of some of the telling you what's what. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah. But the main point, though, is that they're using this medium of Star Trek and taking advantage of its fans to push their political ideologues into the content.
Arguably, that's what Star Trek has often and always done by being the first, having the first interracial kiss on screen, all sorts of things that were very, very edgy for the time, and Gene Roddenberry's own political agenda or perspective on things that a lot of people didn't agree with.
I feel like, I mean, and maybe it's just the way that they're doing it could be distasteful, but I mean, but I think it's still like, I mean, it might be a little heavy-handed, I guess, maybe is
a little
trying to say, like, because yes, I think that is what made the Star Trek previously so good, is that it was like, these are things that they were trying to address and trying to, make you think about, but it wasn't as like heavy-handed, like, oh, this is clearly what we're trying to say, right? And so it's definitely more apparent.
It was never preachy.
Yeah, and I could see that this definitely comes off a little preachy, right? But I think they're still trying to take the stand on these certain questions that come up today, but
that's why Jared, you brought up Orville that we talked about previously. That's why I think I did it so well, is because it didn't tell you what was right and what was wrong, but also it blurred the lines between it, like flipped things, so it was different than our Earth politics, right?
Which just allowed you to think about it in a different way.
Exactly. So it's not about presenting these ideas and one way is right and one way is wrong, and the medium tells you that. It brings up these conglomeration of beliefs that mirror our beliefs on Earth from different points of view, but they're jumbled up.
Make you analyze your position,
and it makes you exactly. Instead of saying, "Oh, I hate this because this is wrong. This is not what I agree with," it mixes it up so that if you try to criticize either side, you're criticizing parts of stuff that you agree with.
This does none of that. This tells you you're stupid if you don't agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because
it tells you you are illogical.
Well, and it's saying that we're arguing about the ship's gender. It is an inanimate object. Like with this particular example,
Jared, ships are always girls. Thank you very much.
Oh, my bad. You're right. That's what they say. Yeah,
historically they do refer to ships as her maiden voyage, and they're female, but it's not.
No one wants to ride a dude. Okay, so.
No. Anyway, but I do think that is funny that they chose to bring this sort of up with the ship's gender rather than just saying yeah. So that's
the character that's struggling with it. Like again, they did in the Orville with the I forget the name of the character, the Moclan child, that was born. Topa, that's right. And how they handled that, because I would even argue
the Orville's so good. Let's just agree the Orville's freaking awesome.
They do bring forward what they believe is what they think is true. And then they let you explore it. They let some people have at least a slightly different perspective on it, and they just explore it so much better. The more that I look at it, at least
this is a lecture
panel. To me, it was one small line that is also a line that is being said by a lot of people at this point. I don't agree with it. I also don't agree that with the fact that it's so illogical.
This was a lecture. This was not
this
was not a thought experiment. It was a lecture.
Yeah.
Star Trek is dead to me. So Doctor Strange's spell explains why only 5 villains appear in No Way Home. Spoilers. No, it doesn't. I liked No Way Home, but this was my biggest problem with the movie, is that the spell is stupid. But it's okay. It's all fixed, because if you look into it, Doctor Strange's spell makes total sense, and it totally makes sense why there's only 5 villains that show up in the movie. You guys want to guess why?
Probably a stupid reason.
It is. It's
Because
really
there were 5 changes you wanted to make. I don't know.
because it's weird that only 5 villains showed up in the movie, right? Because that's all
Except
they
that
could
there were
afford.
other ones that were coming through.
But it's
at
okay because
end
the
there.
spell, it makes sense. The spell can explain why there's only 5 villains. It's because Peter makes 5 changes during the spell.
Called it.
Because he says, no, let MJ remember me, let Ned remember me, let Aunt May remember me, let Happy remember me, and then, oh, you know what? Just let everyone remember me. So so it makes it's 5.
Talk about reaching. I mean,
if you're going to reach that hard, then Electro shouldn't have been there because he didn't even know that Spider-Man was Peter Parker. So
yeah,
shut your face. Just enjoy the cinema.
It's okay because Sinister 6 can still happen. I don't care.
Yeah. Morbius tried to tell us that, it's still gonna happen.
Morbius.
So the Rings of Power showrunners addressed the ring wraith-like appearance of the show's witches because people said, "Hey, how come you made them look like ring wraiths? Because they shouldn't look like ring wraiths."
Yeah, that's a good question.
So the showrunners addressed that by not addressing it. Here's the quote.
They probably just said it looked cool, so we did it, right?
I think what you're reading is there are glimpses into the unseen world where like the true form of something is revealed. You're seeing what is underneath the form that they've been presenting. Like they were defeated, but like they just temporarily vanquished, or like we're idiots and we don't know what we're talking about. I think the story is that it makes people think. That's him seeing into the unseen world, and that's what the ring does. It lets you see the true form of things. Has that addressed this question at all? Absolutely not. Okay, so the other showrunner butts in to say absolutely nothing as well. We're riffing on the visual language of that. Like there's visual language, right? But we also like the idea that there are different forms of magic in Tolkien. So the visual storytelling, hopefully you get the visuals is that the witches they looked like Nazguls, but they're like lesser than the wizards would be. Like, and so that's why he beat them. But then they escaped because they escaped as moths. So like their true appearance is like gross and horrible. And so they probably have like magic that makes them look beautiful. So that's the visual language. It's a little similar to a Nazgul, and so we were thinking about Macbeth, and thinking about like the witches that are in Macbeth. Those ones, like they're strange and weird. Again, is he answering the question? No.
It does seem like he's just like rambling on his brother.
They come from a ruin. Which is, I'd like to make a slight digression. People complained that there aren't any people of color in the Rings of Power, in Lord of the Rings, which is why it needed to be fixed in Rings of Power. The problem is it just focused on a very small part of Middle Earth where there weren't a lot of people of. Oops, what happened?
That's embarrassing.
I pushed a button. The thing is, Lord of the Rings focused on a very small part of Middle Earth, which mostly had white people in it. Okay, but all of Arda was very diverse, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Ruin was filled with people of color. And these 3 witches come from Ruin, which would have been a great opportunity to cast people of color in those roles. What color are the 3 witches?
Very white.
They're very, very white.
Translucent.
You know why? Because
they're translucent white.
Because they're bad guys. You sick, disgusting people in Hollywood complain about there's not enough diversity and whitewashing, but you're unwilling to cast people of color in these 3 roles because they were the bad guys. You are the patently evil people, not us. You are the people that only see the color of people's skin, not us.
I always say that,
we don't care about skin color.
They are the racist. They are always. They are the racist.
And so, like, they have like magic cults, and Tolkien writes about magic cults, and so It's like a different kind of magic, and you can like peel. We'll peel the layers back in future seasons. Again, does it answer the question? No.
No. So yeah, basically, I was right. They did it because it looked cool. No other reason.
They did it because they wanted them to look like the Nazgul. Because people
They're
liked
supposed
Lord
to be
of the
lesser
Rings.
than the wizards, because communicating that he defeated them that easily didn't already communicate that they were lesser than the wizards.
It's interesting too that they said he turned them, showed their true form, whatever, but then they escaped
By turning into
in a
moths.
different form. I'm like,
I guess that wasn't him that turned them into moths. I guess.
Yeah, so they turned into moths on their own accord. It's just so stupid. They're just grasping at straws to defend their terrible show.
They probably lost their jobs already.
There's been talk. I don't know.
They're being sidelined for season 2. I think they're fired. I hope they are.
I would love that to be the case. I haven't seen any credible sources that's the thing. So far, I think
they're going to sweep it under the rug, dude.
I think it's people hoping that that's the case, and they just posted, "Oh, I heard a rumor that they were sidelined."
There is no possible way that you can even justify this by Hollywood standards. Like it's an abject failure.
If they remain sideline, I bet that they are going to be so bad at their job, so bad as writers, even because they are terrible writers, and they are just gonna say, "Oh, F it, just leave them, just fire them."
They were nobodies before this show, and if they are fired from this,
they will die.
They're not going to work again in Hollywood.
No,
they weren't working for 10 years anyway. So,
exactly.
What were they doing? Literally.
Nothing. They weren't doing anything.
They were selling rocks.
Here's which Rings of Power character embodies your zodiac sign, boy.
Don't care. Move on.
All right. Let's do it. Let's go down the line. Sure.
Almost. I was almost Galadriel, bro. I was 10 days away from Galadriel. 10 days away from Galadriel.
There.
All right, forward or backward?
I dodge a bullet, bro.
Are you
10 days. I'm from April 29.
Oh, you are Elendil.
Come on, bro. The guy that cries like a baby. The guy that cried like a baby and just lead her son to die there. Just
All
right. One of the more
still probably one of the best characters of the show, though. So
I mean, the best actor probably.
You can't do better than Elendil.
Yeah, the best actor.
All right, let's keep going though. Is anybody?
No!
You're Sim Sauron, bro. Sim Sauron.
I'm Sauron. I'm in June.
That also means you're sexy, though. So
that's true. That's true.
It also means you got to bang Galadriel on a raft.
Wait. Kate Blanchett or Morford Clark?
No, Morford Clark.
Okay, I'll pass.
No one is shipping Halbrand and Kate Blanchett. So. Is anybody Bronwyn? Any birthdays out there for Bronwyn? Okay, no one gets a boob lady. Queen Regent Muriel. Yeah. No. Any of the Harfoots? Wait, the Harfoot hobbits. They could get sued for that. We got Elrond, baby. Any femboys in the chat? No. Okay, keep going. Adar, and the orcs, and the
Uruk and the orcs.
So stupid. I hate that they called him an Uruk. It's not.
I was like, I didn't see any Uruk.
They don't even exist until later. And we got a Rondir. We got a Rondir in the house.
That's me. I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. He was probably one of the least defensive characters in the show.
Weirdly enough, the one that I liked as an elf the best out of all of the elves that we saw in that entire show, and felt like he actually fit an elf the best.
The one character who shouldn't be playing an elf did the best job. We got Durin and Disa. It's you get to be both of them. You get to be both Durin and Disa because the gender binary is illogical. We got the Stranger baby. Anyone want to be the Stranger? Just say Gandalf, guys. You're not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
And for me, I get to be.
Oh, no.
I get to be
Eminem and the Nazguls.
Me too.
The Dweller, the Ascetic,
Wow.
and the Nomad, huh?
I've never wanted
Didn't
to
know
die.
that they had names or titles or whatever.
I've never wanted to die more than this day. So
Because you obviously very much care about what some random New York Post article says about what
it's my
zodiac sign.
it's my zodiac sign. Thank you very much,
Mhm.
and I will not have you besmirch.
Bro, but it could have been worse. You could have been Galadriel too. You were pretty close.
Also, though, I'm noticing in there they said in the first season of Rings of Power we met 4 sorceresses. They didn't even watch the show.
Down below.
There's 3, not 4.
Huh.
Like,
Aligns with
Wow.
the 3 of them. It could be a mistype, but that is weird.
yeah.
Maybe they're saying that Galadriel's the other sorceress in the show because she's supposed to be a sorceress, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that was a fun diversion. So as it turns out, the dynamic between Galadriel and Sauron in Rings of Power was inspired by Tolkien himself, baby.
Do tell.
No, it was not.
only about as much as any of the rest of this was inspired by Tolkien himself, which is by the thinnest of threads.
So J.D. Payne decided to open his mouth again.
Oh, that was. Oh my god.
Is it the full? Oh, it's cut off. They don't even post like the full quote in the
It's just
article.
There's the source there you can click on.
I did. It didn't have the full thing.
No,
No. Click
no,
on
click
it
on
again.
there.
Click on this.
And then
And then
click.
down at
There's
the
a
bottom.
link underneath.
Where's the link? Where's what? I don't see any link.
Hold on.
What are you talking about?
Let it load right there.
Click on this. There we go. Okay, I pulled up the wrong. Okay. So, oh gosh. All right, that is the quote.
Yeah.
So, why Halbrand? So it goes back.
It always
Was
goes
that the
back
perfect deception?
to the
Was it?
books.
Was
It always
it?
goes back to the book for us. There's one tantalizing sentence in
One.
the
They're
mirror.
basing this on one sentence.
The mirror of Galadriel. When Galadriel was talking to Frodo and Sam, she says, "I perceive the Dark Lord and know his mind, or all his mind that concerns the elves, and he gropes." Oh, careful. He gropes ever to see me and my thought, but the door is still closed. So we decided to make them lovers. That felt like a really loaded statement to us. Talking about loaded statements. Those in glass houses should not make garbage TV shows. Speaking to some kind of relationship. No.
Just that she is a leader of the elves, and so Sauron wants to keep an eye on what she's doing and try to figure out what she's doing.
When she's offered the ring, she says, instead of a Dark Lord, you would have a queen. She feels like she's experienced or anticipated this temptation for a long time. Yeah, because she has.
It's had a hold over all of Middle Earth.
She's literally wearing one of the rings of power. She's felt the temptation to take the one ring.
In the same way, so here's what we're gonna do though, because also Gandalf had the same sort of fear of taking the ring. So next season we're gonna get the Stranger and Halbrand.
Baby!
Prediction, buddy. I got it.
You're a Nostradamus,
How would
bro.
you call that ship? So it's I think they're calling Galbrand the ship, between Halbrand and
Oh,
Galadriel.
I thought I saw Haladriel for another
Or
one.
it's Galbrand and Haladriel, right?
Haladriel sounds
So how
better.
do you do the stranger and Sauron?
Ooh, the
Well, it's obviously Gandalf, so it's
Sow Ranger. I don't know. The Sow Ranger. Sounds like some sort of
Sandals.
weird Sow
Sourdarf.
Ranger.
Sandals.
Saurolf.
Yeah.
Gandor,
This is stupid.
Sandal or Ganduron.
That would be hilarious if they try to go with season 2 and do another Sauron reveal, and he just like shapeshift into someone else.
Bro,
They could have
like,
a
who's
different.
Sauron?
They could have a different Sauron reveal
Yes.
every season.
Every season there's a Sauron reveal. It's just a game of guess who's Sauron.
That's so brilliant, though. I love
man.
the show now. honestly, if they
rough.
do that, I will unironic. I will shill. I will shill for the show.
Yeah, I will start cheering for the.
That would
Well,
be
probably
so
shooting for the show,
freaking
we're gonna
funny.
get that
Just
tickets.
just lean it. Just make it a comedy, and I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Just put a laughing track underneath it, and it's hilarious.
So,
But again, like it's
that-
so frustrating because it's like it would have
Yeah.
made even more sense if he had been the beautiful elf that he was supposed to be. But they also still had to find a way to make sure that they wrote her husband out of the picture, at least for the time
look
being.
at this. Look at this. So they said so we wanted to figure out that
We're
out.
gonna bring
So
him
from
back.
here, so it was from here we started backfilling. I thought you
Mhm.
said, hold on. I thought you said you always go back to the book. What kind of person would he have to be? How would they meet? I don't know. Maybe he could be Anatar, bringer of gifts,
The beautiful elf
like it says
in
in the books.
Yep.
Did they not?
Exactly.
So the book that mentions Anatar, is that the Silmarillion or the appendices? Is that the
I
one
think
that they
it's the
don't have the?
Silmarillion.
I don't know if it says Anatar in the appendices.
I mean,
So I guess my point is do they not have rights to the name Anatar?
probably.
That might have been a part of the issue. Once again, they could have had him be a beautiful elf and not named him, or had him indicating his name as something different instead of being a totally different character.
They could have made just new characters altogether. Just make a strong female elf. Call her anything else like they did in The Hobbit. Well, in The Hobbit, this was, it was not that good. But at least don't do that to Galadriel. Don't chip her with the most evil in
With your
Middle
cheap
Earth. At
tricks.
least after Morgoth.
And takes, give yourself a brand new character to work with and have Galadriel be the Galadriel she's supposed to be, trying to dissuade her. Like
They could turn it around in season 2. They could say, "Oh, she was a warrior before, but now she's got a ring of power. Now she's a powerful sorceress."
But
Are they going to turn it around? I highly doubt it.
within
how
the
would
context
they?
of what they're doing with that, like maybe that could be something like, well, okay, I guess sure, but even that's really kind of stretching it,
Yeah.
This
oh,
they
this
have a
that
podcast.
was, bro. I heard the entire podcast. It was insane. I was
You listen to
flashing
it?
my I
This is-
listened to it in
This
Amazon.
is just a little clip that really
bro.
highlights what we're
Listen
talking.
to
The
it. You're
issue that
gonna
we're
bash
talking
your
about.
head against the wall. You're gonna lose
Yeah.
your mind if you listen to it. You're gonna
Well,
lose
Yeah,
your
I
mind.
couldn't.
This clip illustrates what we're complaining about right here.
Holy
And by the way,
moly.
if you're not following Elijah the Middleborn on Twitter, I don't know what you're doing with your life, because he's doing God's work. So go do that. But can you guys hear this?
Why would the
Yep. Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
So this is them talking about how they think they're better than Tolkien. They're talking specifically about Anatar and how he was able to trick everyone.
why would these different peoples in Middle Earth accept the deception of receiving rings from Sauron in disguise? People don't make devil's bargains because they're stupid. You know what I mean?
They make them because they're desperate. We wanted him to come into the narrative in an unexpected way. Because if you sort of think about the sort of obvious way, it's like, okay, a tall, mysterious, beautiful demigod named Anatar shows up and says, let me help you with all your problems by making you some rings.
Who's going to fall for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would
Who's going to fall for that?
Anyone.
I mean, if you're shown amazing things, that you didn't know how to do before, and you were given power.
It's right in the
Like who wouldn't fall for that?
And you can set her into a better position of desperation when he shows up to then, if you feel like they need to make that bargain because it's somehow a devil's bargain, even though it wasn't presented as a devil's bargain, then set it up as though she is in this dire straits.
They think
no way
they literally said in that quote, anyone who would have fallen for that is an idiot. That's how it happened in the books. It was in Eregion that the councils of Sauron were most gladly received. For in that land, Noldor desired ever to increase the skill and subtlety of their works. Moreover, they were not at peace in their hearts because they were away from Valinor. They were with their home world, where it's like heaven to them. Okay, they had refused to go back because they loved being in the presence of Valinor because it gives them their elf ecstasy. But they liked being in Middle Earth better because of all of the things they had created. It's called hubris. Okay? So the elves desired to stay in Middle Earth, but keep the glory of Valinor, which they loved. Okay? And it would give them the bliss of the land they departed, but all of the stuff they'd acquired. Okay? It's called greed. So they hearkened to Sauron or Anatar, and they learned of him many things, and he was presenting them literally the solution to their problems. Hey, you can, with this power of the rings, you can turn Middle Earth into the glory of Valinor, and you won't have to leave. He was giving them everything they wanted. So, yeah, they took the rings of power, guided by Sauron, and he was aware of everything they did, and he tricked them. But apparently, if you think like Tolkien thinks, you are an idiot. Because they are so much smarter,
bro.
than
Like,
Tolkien.
I don't know if they are in some hard dope or what the hell is going on, because they don't act like regular humans. Their ego is so inflated, it doesn't make any sense. How can you say that you are a better writer and that you are smarter than a guy that literally has gone to his history? Tolkien is history, and these guys are going to be forgotten in 2 years. Literally,
they shall live in infamy. Yeah, because that's the thing, is like, I was looking at some of the comments on there as well, but it's like there's an outline there that you can build on, and they decided to go with something completely different. Like it almost bears no resemblance, and it's like, yes, adaptation needs to happen, and in a situation like this where there's just a summary, there's a lot of filling in that might need to be done, but that's the framework you should be building on, not take the roof and then decide to build a completely different building. You take the skeleton of the building and then you fill it in the way that you want to, with whatever story you want to. It really makes me think. I think I expressed to you guys that I'd heard a rumor with the Halo TV show that it had been created or written more as a Mass Effect show, and that they decided, oh, we have this IP that we want to slap on it, and so it makes it so it doesn't connect at all to any of the characters from Halo. But if you transpose it over, it actually lines up pretty well for Mass Effect. It makes me wonder if there's something similar going on with this, where they had a story that they wanted to tell for whatever reason, and they just decided to slap Lord of the Rings on top of it.
I don't know. There was a lot of there are some reports that are coming out soon. If you're not following Nerdrotic, you should do so, because he's been teasing. He's got some insider information that he's going to make a video on. This wasn't the original plan. The original plan for the show was actually kind of good, but there was a lot of backstabbing and things that happened behind the scenes that basically corrupted, some might say, like the Rings of Power, this show. So
keep an eye on that.
I don't think it's exactly what you're saying, that it was a completely different IP that they just slapped this on.
Yeah, it probably wasn't. It just made me start wondering about that.
There was a version of the show that was actually trying to be faithful.
Yeah.
And then two morons got their hands on it. I don't know. I don't think that they're idiots. I think that they're evil. I think that it's intentional, and they're trying to insert their politics into this show by using this famous IP to get what they want and spread their message. I don't think that they're morons. The problem is they sound like morons when they talk because they can't answer the questions because there are no answers to the questions that are being asked without admitting the lie.
And I think that they're morons because you can put your politics into a show. You can send a message in your show and actually make it a well-told story and a story that fits and makes sense. And they did not do that. They wanted to do what you're saying, and I think that they failed at it because they are
okay. So they're okay. I agree. They are morons and they are evil. It's okay, guys, because we've got the 10 best quotes from Rings of Power. Are you ready? Those memorable quotes like, there can be no trust between a hammer and a rock.
That's deep, man.
That
is deep.
That one's fine, I guess.
That's good.
Okay, sure.
I wouldn't call it the most memorable quote. Everyone, each of us needs to make a decision. That's your memorable quote. This is the best quote that Queen Regent Muriel had all season.
Bro, reality.
Not the worst quote, just not a particularly amazing quote. Okay, cool. Yeah.
There's nothing special about that.
That has to do with trying.
It's a reminder that you decide who you're going to be and decide sure, but it's not
just
a particularly well done version of that.
Like, okay, how about take Braveheart, right? Like there may no, sorry, not Braveheart. I'm actually thinking of Lord of the Rings. There may be a day when the strength of men fails, but today is not that day. Yeah. Like, kind of saying the same thing.
So do all who live to see such times. What is left to us is to decide what we shall do with our time.
Yeah,
with these times.
That's
much better version of the same thing.
The
concept is there, but
just dumbed down. You know,
lackluster.
That phrase is just a dumbed down version of a better phrase in Lord of the Rings of Tolkien.
Yep.
It's okay though. We got tons of good quotes. Like, beauty has power to heal the soul.
I feel about the same as that one. Sure, there's something there, but
if your soul's broken, you just need to find a hottie.
Yeah, nice.
A beautiful view, or
Hope is never mere, even when it's meager. Now, this one I really hate. Do you guys know what the definition of mere is? Mere means small. You guys know what the definition of meager means? It means small. So Gigglad is saying hope is never small, even when it is small.
There's a little bit more. I think
there is
more in there.
Where?
There's more context or
those two words mean the same thing.
Mere, and especially in the concept of saying, oh, it's merely hope, it's only hope. So mere is not even really. I wouldn't even actually have said that it means small. I think that it means it's an only. It's a term used for it's alone. Whereas meager being not particularly plentiful or again not very strong or big. And so there's subtlety in there. I'm not really trying to defend this as being a great quote,
mere, the smallest or slightest. Okay, right. Now let's look up meager. I spelled it wrong. I'm stupid. Here we go. Small.
Lean, thin, but lean and thin.
Not,
I think that's it.
So one means small, the other means not big.
Yeah, and again, I think in context of the way it was said, it was used. It's merely hope. It's just a mere hope. That's
I did misspeak. Sorry. So it should read: hope is never small, even when it is not big.
Fair enough. I don't know. I think that there's something to that. That there's an aspect of hope's all you've got, even if it's a small hope. Hope is it's worth a lot, even if there's not much of it. A mere bit of gold is still a lot of money.
And that's obviously what they meant by it, but they could have phrased it a lot better. They could have said something like, hope is never
hope is never lost, even when it's meager.
Yeah, something like that. Like, or it's never it's never not worth it, or I don't know, something like that. But yeah,
even a small amount of hope is worth quite a bit. I think is really, and again, that's not a particularly great way to say it either. But
two hopes in the mirror is better than one in the meager.
There you go. You got it.
There you go. It's okay. There's more just amazing, inspiring quotes from the show. There is no secret worth concealing with deception. Lies. How about the fact that you have the One Ring and you're bringing it to Mordor to destroy? That secret was kept with deception.
How
multiple times throughout the Lord of the Rings.
Gandalf specifically said, "Keep it secret, keep it safe."
Yeah. What other kind of what secrets do you not conceal with at least some kind of deception?
Right. Are there any secrets you don't conceal with deception?
Look up the definition of a secret.
Honey, does this dress make me look fat? No.
And even refusing to volunteer information is a certain kind of deception. That's another kind of deception. So yeah. Yep. That one's definitely a little bit more of a that doesn't really hold much weight.
It would have made sense. Like it's never worth deceiving a friend, right? Or something like that. Pull on the friendship.
There's no secret worth having between friends, or by concealing between friends.
Right.
Yes. Or something like that.
That would have made sense.
Oh man.
But of course, we are making the fatal mistake of bringing context into the phrase.
Right.
And making it actually have weight.
Who is it that says so? Elrond says this to.
Elrond says it to
Galadriel.
No,
Elrond
says it to Disa.
He's telling her, "Don't lie to me
about her husband."
Yeah, and it's like they're.
Yeah.
Are you guys even Tolkien fans? I knew that. An avalanche can start with one stone. Okay,
that's a good Chinese proverb.
Yeah, that one's fine. I prefer a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
With a single step. Well, so with an avalanche, is an avalanche specifically snow, or does that include rock slides and other things? Because I think of avalanche and I think snow.
Yeah,
usually not stones being a rock slide.
True, yeah, usually a rock avalanche is a rock slide.
Yeah,
a rock slide. But they could have said a rock slide can start with a stone. That's
too many words. That doesn't flow off the tip of the tongue.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, it's avalanche is always
a massive snow, ice, and rocks falling rapidly down a mountainside.
But it's always snow and ice. Yeah.
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 An avalanche rapid flow of snow down a slope, such as a hill or mountain.
Anyway, this is probably their only one that isn't stupid.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
But it's still not like peak Tolkien, right? Like it's still not
smart.
It's still not a great quote. Just because it doesn't completely contradict itself doesn't make it good.
Yeah,
I still feel like this is kind of on par with the rest of them, where it's like, I see your idea behind it, and your idea behind it is an interesting one, but I think that you have kind of flubbed the execution of what you're trying to say.
Exactly. Yep. There are way better ways to say this.
Ooh, we missed it.
All right, then keep your secrets.
All right, keep your secrets. Yeah. Remember when we said we would go back to the books, the books that we don't even have rights to. It's okay. There's more quotes. Yep. I killed Sauron. No, Galadriel, I killed your father.
Oh gosh. This
is the memorable quote.
I guess if they're going for per act or per character or something like that, but even that, I feel like he's got much better lines. Because this is such a terrible line. Like, I mean, I killed Sauron.
I have
two profound lines or lines that were supposed to make our heads spin. Like, it was kind of what they were going for with that was Sauron really is dead.
If you're going for Adar, though, his best line was, "Please use my preferred pronouns." So,
Mexa, you said you had something to say. You said you had 2 words for you.
Yeah, I had 2 words. This is terrible.
That's 3
Just like
words.
Biden say. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Just like Biden.
He's making
Biden. Yeah,
he's making fun of Joe Biden. I've got 2 words for you. What
I don't remember. It's
something like God bless America.
I got 2 words for you. Made in America. That's what it was.
Yeah, made in
That's
America.
what it was. Yeah.
Hey, now at least we have a Democrat that has that we can make fun of in the same way that the Democrats like to make fun of George.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nothing is evil in the beginning. Sure, this one's fine, but I wouldn't say it's like a memorable quote.
It's the sort of thing that I feel like doesn't fit in Tolkien lore, because for him, I think that there's generally things that are just evil and they've been evil from the beginning and they're staying evil.
I will defend this one. It makes sense because Morgoth is a fallen angel. Like Morgoth and Sauron both started off as Maiar, and they fell.
I think
this one's fine.
I can totally get behind. I just, to me, it felt a little less Tolkien-y because to me he feels like somebody who is much more evil is evil. And
the problem is the person saying it is Galadriel, and she's been evil from the beginning. So
but I agree with the sentiment. I think it's a good line. But
a better quote, more Tolkien-esque, maybe would have been, "Not everything that is evil was evil from the beginning."
Yeah, not all who evil are bad.
Not all who evil are bad. Not all who evil or vile are bad.
Yeah.
Not all who evil or mean are bad. But how is this a memorable quote?
I feel like they're going
it failed the Bechdel test.
What they felt like were the big moments, because I think that they thought that this was going to be a big moment.
Wait. Sorry. Pause. What? Although Bronwyn's motivations fail the Bechdel test, she manages to save Okay. How? First off, what she's saying here fails the Bechdel test because she's talking to men, but there are also women. But second off, how can motivations fail the Bechdel test? The Bechdel test is about conversation.
Yep.
It's 2 female characters having a conversation about something that's not a man. What?
Orcs are white men.
Yeah.
Now that's some big mamadas.
Oh my! I don't even know I don't know what point they're trying to make here. It fails the Bechdel test. I can't. But here you go.
What?
The best quote from Rings of Power is, "If we didn't do everything we weren't supposed to do, we'd hardly do anything at all." So the best quote from all of Tolkien is a double negative that's confusing and makes sense if you think about it for like 10 minutes.
If we didn't disobey, then we wouldn't do anything worthwhile.
Again, I think that you could make it a lot better by making it not a negative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we only did what we were supposed to do, we'd never do anything. We'd never do anything. We'd hardly do anything at all. Like if we did everything we were supposed to do, we'd hardly do anything at all.
Yeah.
That actually sounds like a solid quote there. Maybe not an amazing quote, but a solid quote.
At least they didn't.
If we didn't do everything, it's saying if we followed all of the rules, we would never do anything because there are so many rules. But it's worded horrible. If we didn't do everything we weren't supposed to do, we'd hardly do anything at all. Let's go screw off. I don't know. That's not. Well, honestly, if I'm being honest, probably is the best quote from Rings of Power.
The
which is
sea
just because it has a
always
super low bar.
Yeah, I'm surprised the C is always right. Is
The
not on
ship,
their list.
Right?
it doesn't sink because it.
That's the thing is like
The
were
C
these
is
books
always
like,
alt right. Am I right? Can we get dabs in the chat?
I love Martina made a comment a little bit back about the writing just feels so much like a first draft, and this is absolutely what I have felt is the biggest, the best way to describe what I feel like this show did is it was the first draft. There was no extra passes over, nothing to deal with that, and it's just oh gosh.
How is I Am Good not on this list?
Yeah.
That's my question.
I am good.
I actually also like Julian Thorne's comments about how if nothing is evil in the beginning, then I think there's a couple other things that they are calling patently evil that they could examine a little bit more too.
That's a good one.
I also love how the dabs in the chat come through as elbow cough.
Yeah, I saw that. They show up in YouTube, but not in our chat.
That is a dab. Yeah. The C is always alt right. I like that one.
Actually, that is a good one too.
I'm proud of that joke. Yeah, here let's show. This is what we're seeing in our streaming app. Elbow cough. That's funny. We should call them elbow coughs instead of dabs. Okay, so there's one more article, which is kind of a retread because there's been so many of these.
Like last week.
We've read this
it's
exact headline article.
Like Bilbo after he gives up the ring.
This is repurposed. But apparently there's 10 more ways the Rings of Power is aged poorly, so let's just get through this as quickly as possible.
They're going to be the same things, basically.
There's cul-de-sacs for the sake of world building. But
most of those were... Well, so there's a point to them because it's world building, and most of those were omitted from the movies.
Yeah. Okay. So there's characters that show up for a short amount of time,
showing like a depth of the world and the fact that there's not just the 10 people that we deal with as our main characters.
Yeah. So like good writing, you mean?
Yep.
Tolkien's heroes seem invincible. Yeah, because they're good. Because they're heroic. Something that you should learn about.
Yeah,
is this the same exact article we read before?
No, you sent this one to me. This is different. We haven't read this one. Some of the characters lack agency.
Okay.
Some of the side characters that don't need to have. Yeah,
it takes a while to get started. Did you? I don't know. Maybe it showed as unread in my. This one you sent.
I think it's
that last
one
there's got a point.
I honestly don't think that we've read this one. It is a carbon copy of ones that we've read.
There are a lot of similar points on this one, but I think it's technically a different.
The story takes a while to get started.
That one's good.
Lack diversity.
The first fellowship, but it takes a while to get started.
But to me, again, I think that's world building. It's really building, and it's like Andor. It takes a little bit, but it lays the groundwork in a good way that I don't think is bad. I don't think that's a fair criticism at all, because while it takes a while, I think it earns that taking a while.
It really does.
The diversity thing we've talked about before.
Sure,
but I want to talk about this one though, because this is the first new. Well, it's not new, but we haven't discussed it yet. Some races in Lord of the Rings are inherently evil. Before we even address that, why is that a bad thing?
It's a story.
Can anyone explain to me why that would be a bad thing?
Racial profiling.
Okay, but a fictional race. What's wrong with having a fictional race that is inherently evil? I don't know, like the Dalek, maybe? Doctor Who? It's a race of aliens that are created to be evil. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the orcs, a race of mythical creatures who were created by Satan to be evil?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Why is that a bad thing?
And you have the contrast of the orcs with the elves, and then the men, who are the ones that we get to identify with the most. And actually, most of our heroes either tend to be them or hobbits, who are complex, and there are good and evil in each of them. We're not meant to identify with any of these other groups.
The reason why they're saying this is a bad thing, and they've been trying to tote this for a long time, trying to say that Tolkien was quite frankly outdated and problematic because the orcs are a parallel to black people. If you're looking at a race, I'm sorry though, but if you read Tolkien or watch the movie and see a race of characters who were bred for evil, and you think, hey, those are black people, you are the racist.
Exactly.
Yeah, I tell you, bro. It was for racial profiling. That's the reason why they say
this
that they
was
hate
never
people.
Tolkien's intent to say that orcs are a metaphor for black people. That is patently insane to attribute that to Tolkien. It's a race that they're.
And Mark even has a point right here where he says, I always felt sorry for the orcs because they were corrupted and tortured elves, but they are evil. You can feel sorry for something that is evil. And this is moving a little bit away from what you were saying, but like, yeah, you can have empathy for them and recognize they're horribly evil and have empathy, but then also recognize that they're not supposed to be a parallel to a race in our world.
Yeah, an example, I feel sorry for Paul Pelosi for getting beat down with a hammer. But they are evil. You can feel sorry.
Well, what's funny about that story is that both of them were in their underwear, right? We are not getting the full story here. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
I think I'm missing something because I don't know.
I've been looking for that new story about them being underwear, but
all right, we can talk about politics. Okay, let's talk about politics real quick. Okay, it has nothing to do with politics. It's something that happened. So Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was attacked inside his home. Horrible. Don't attack people inside their homes. But before the ink had even dried, the left-wing media started talking about how this was a right-wing extremist who was inspired by MAGA culture to go and attack and was trying to assassinate Nancy Pelosi, who wasn't home. She was in Washington, D.C., and this took place in California.
Daily Times actually said that he was a QAnon follower that spread.
They said he's a QAnon guy inspired by Trump to try and assassinate Nancy Pelosi. It's been like 2 days now, and we have more details, and it couldn't be further from the truth. The guy was naked in the house with Paul Pelosi, and there's apparently a third person because someone let them in the house, the police. So the police entered the house and saw two people in their underwear fighting over a hammer, and then the attacker hit Paul Pelosi with the hammer, and then they arrested him. So like there's so many holes to the story, but the police, the phone call to the police is Paul Pelosi saying he is a friend, I let him in the house. And like there's so much that like the media is trying to hide this, like they're trying to brush it under the rug so fast because they were immediately proven wrong with their narrative. It's so like obviously don't attack people, that's horrible, but it's kind of it's funny just how wrong the news got this, and every detail that comes out is just like more and more like, okay, so you lied about this, you lied about that, you lied about that, just because you wanted to say, hey, MAGA's bad.
You wanted to sell a thing, sell a perspective.
Yeah, they were fighting over a hammer in their underwear.
That's how they call it now. That's how the young boys call it.
The hammer's a euphemism.
The hammering, yeah.
That all makes sense now.
That's an old euphemism.
Exactly.
Anyway,
but yeah, nothing is evil in the beginning because the orcs were created. They were tortured to become evil, and also the geography of Middle Earth is concerning. Because some of the bad places are like the Middle East.
Okay.
And even if you did want to have an issue with that, there's a little bit of credit that can be given to the fact that like
there's kind of a lot of stuff coming from the Middle East that's not great.
And he was coming from a time and a place where that might have been
That was a big
he
concern.
was being told, like not just what he thought, what was being told to most everybody from the time in his area.
Yeah, he said
the information that he had. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting a little bit of that, but it's goodness.
Didn't he fight in World War One? Or World War?
He did. Yeah, he fought in World War One.
Yeah,
Tolkien's work also features uncomfortable racial terminology, because there's one scene where the innkeeper says, "No black man shall pass my doors while I can stand on my legs," because he's talking about the Nazgul.
Yes.
Not black people.
A guy literally with a
Again, if you are reading this and you are seeing uncomfortable racial terminology, you are racist.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And there weren't very many women. Yeah, we've already talked about this. Who cares?
But the women they did have were friggin' awesome.
The ones that are there are written so incredibly well.
Owen.
And maybe there's room for some criticism and argument. It's something to be done there, but it's it's also a story about war, and not often are that like
men are historically the ones that went to war. There's nothing sexist about that.
Best-selling book of all time. Clearly, people didn't care.
They just know that the clickbait stuff is the woke agenda will be clickbait for either people who are pro or anti it, because they're going to bring people on it to look at it and see it and get angry about it. They just know that any of this is going to be clickbait. It's huge clickbait. That's all it is, and it's frustrating.
Mark Clark brings up a good point, though. If you had the choice between sleeping with Nancy Pelosi or a man with a hammer, which would you choose?
I mean, that girl has a nice rag, bro. No.
Oh, I saw those pictures and I thought that they were photoshopped. Of the Nancy Pelosi ones with the big bag.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was the biggest double take of my life.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh man.
So that's it. That's all the bad takes that we have for you. So let's talk. Let's cleanse the palate, and let's talk about some spicy, steamy, hot D. Everybody. Wait. Oh, don't no, freak! Oh man, hold on.
Do you have a stinger?
I had a stinger. So for that last article, I only have one thing to say. He'll be gone. I worked so hard on that. I was literally I was rendering it like 2 minutes before the show. I forgot to freaking use it.
That's a good play on words. I like that, bro.
She'll be gone.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that in like a meme. I put out a poll asking what videos the audience wanted me to make next. Now that Rings of Power is over, and they said, "Please watch more bad shows, make memes." So someone recommended Halo, and I'm like, I do not want to watch Halo though.
It was pretty bad.
There's the line, and you gotta you cannot cross the line.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna make you watch. I wouldn't make you guys watch it, but like.
We're in this though.
Yep. We're whatever we decide to watch as a group, or at least I am.
I'm talking about my weekly videos.
I voted in that poll too, and I'm like, no, I want to see more of your original content. And I think I voted for the Doctor Who reviews the
Doctor Who
sketches.
can serve as both, because I can do good reviews for the first.
That's true.
For the first 10, for the first 8 seasons, and then I can do meme edits. But it'll just take a while to get there. So.
Yep.
But a lot of people wanted to see more Doctor Who reviews.
The latest Doctor has, a handful of decent episodes, but most of it was pretty bad.
So I've only made the first 3 videos, and I think I'm gonna do a longer form too, because I don't know if people like shorts are stupid. I shouldn't have ever made them short, so I'm gonna redo the first 3. But I'll release them simultaneously as shorts. But so I've only done the first 3, but I recently started watching more because I was like, I'm gonna start reviewing Doctor Who. I'm already on season 3. I've binged so
That's
much,
good.
but I was just so depraved of good stuff. I was just I was watching it. I was like, this show is phenomenal. There are, because it's episodic, there are some episodes that are terrible, but you immediately forgive them, and even the bad episodes you enjoy because the performances are so good. It's just the plot is oh, this is stupid. But the show earns so much good grace because it's so good and so not woke that I love it. Also, there's tons of foreshadowing. Holy crap. There's stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff. In the first couple seasons, I'm this doesn't get paid off for years.
Yeah, they're constantly doing that. There's so much foreshadowing that they don't even deliver on half of the stuff they foreshadow.
That was a problem with when Stephen Moffat took over.
Yeah.
So here's my hot take on Doctor Who. Started with Russell T Davies. Russell T Davies was an excellent showrunner and a mediocre episode writer. Some of the episodes that he wrote, some of them are good. But some of the worst episodes I've seen in the first 3 seasons were written by Russell T Davies, and I'm sometimes he writes really stupid episodes. He was a fantastic showrunner because he paid attention to canon and continuity. Stephen Moffat, who takes over come season 5, right?
Yeah,
so it was
Matt Smith. When
four seasons with Tennant, or so 3 seasons with Tennant, and 1 season with Christopher Eccleston. So Stephen Moffat takes over as showrunner come season 5 and does that for 6 seasons, 3 with Matt Smith and 3 with Peter Capaldi. Stephen Moffat is an excellent episode writer and a mediocre showrunner. His episodes,
that's fair.
His episodes are literally the best episodes of Doctor Who. He wrote The Girl in the Fireplace. He wrote the Empty Child, Blink, and the silence in the library. I can't remember the actual title of that one.
I think the ones that
those
David
are
is showing
literally
me, The Girl in the Fireplace and Blink.
Those are the greatest episodes of Doctor Who ever. And he did a good job as showrunner, but once he took over, they started dropping the ball when it came to things they'd set up, and there were a bunch of red herrings that never got addressed, and they started forgetting about other things like when Clara was his companion. There's literally an episode where she meets her great grandson, and then they kill her off.
I forgot about that.
Having not had a child.
But then, so how did she have a baby? Right? Just little things like that where still good quality Doctor Who, but it started, and then by the end of the writing got really lazy and sloppy, and then Chris Chibnall takes over, and I haven't liked a single thing that man has ever done. He was a horrible showrunner. He was a horrible episode writer and a horrible showrunner. That's my spicy Doctor Who hot take. Some years of Doctor Who summed up into 5 explanation. And now Russell T Davies is back, which I was excited for at first, but I'm more concerned than excited because I think he's kind of gone Hollywood crazy. So.
Yeah, the new one looks
I think he's gone the way of the Taika Waititi, and he said some very concerning things. And the new Doctor, David Tennant is going to be back for a couple specials, but then it's going to be Ncuti Gatwa, and he's already referring to himself as non-binary, and I'm not excited. So
he's
not himself. He's referring to the character of the Doctor as non-binary.
No,
the Doctor is they now. So
no way.
Yeah. So
I don't care if you want to do that in your personal life. Just don't.
On the plus side, though, we will be able to watch it on Disney Plus coming out. They're going to be hosting
also,
all future
Disney is in charge
episodes.
of Doctor
No,
Who.
no, they're not in charge of it. It's just going to be streaming on Disney Plus in the
You
United
are
States.
wrong, David. They are co-producing.
No, are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no,
that's how they got the deal. They're co-producing,
no.
and it's being moved to Disney.
How can they do that? Because BBC has the ownership of it. I thought they would just distribute it in.
Now
they need money.
Oh
the
my
BBC
gosh!
needs money.
Oh no!
And Disney has a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there goes my last shred of hope that Russell T Davies was going to salvage the franchise.
I mean, he can still do good things, but the show is going to be a mess overall, probably.
They said it's going to get an American wash.
Spin, yeah.
Spin.
Shit.
No.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find the article, but it's eluding me at the second. I don't have the right keywords in. Yeah, the weeping angels scare the pee out of me. Yeah, Blink is good.
Definitely.
But I think I like the girl in the fireplace better. I think that's like my favorite Doctor Who episode of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't hurt that
that's a two-parter. The follow-up is the Dr. Dances. It's a two-part story.
That's the empty
Pretty
child.
sure.
You are wrong, and you are wrong, and you're stupid. I've literally just watched it.
Huh.
It's the empty child and the Doctor Dances is a two-part. That's the mummy. Are you my mummy? With the face mask. That's a two-parter. The girl in the fireplace is about the Madame de Pompadour.
Yeah.
And she's played by the most attractive woman on the face of the planet Earth, and I had a giant crush on her as a child. It's actually the first episode of Doctor Who I ever watched, and I was hooked. So
that's a good episode, but I thought the second part where he crashes through the window and he dances with Madame de Pompadour.
Nope, that's
why it was called the Doctor Dances.
Nope, it's called the Doctor Dances because it's the second part of the Empty Child. Because it's kind of silly. The second part wasn't as good as the first part. Of the Empty Child. It was fine though. It was him learning to see the good in life. He dances.
Learning to dance.
Interesting. But yeah,
you are
Girl in the Fireplace
wrong.
is good.
You're wrong.
Wrong.
The girl in the fireplace was inspired by the time traveler's wife. kind of the Doctor Who's take on that.
It's very good, yeah.
Very, very good. And that episode, those clocks, those
clockwork things, guys,
scary.
They're very
cool. That is nightmare fuel. Let's talk about some Hot D, everybody. I've talked about Doctor Who enough. Hot D, so good.
I actually caught up and finished the series.
What?
Good on you.
What?
All right, well, I'm gonna have to call it then because I haven't even seen it. So.
Okay.
It's good. It's worth watching.
I conquer again as the only Jared.
Yes. You might want to watch it edited if you're gonna watch it though, because there's some.
It's Game of Thrones. Yeah, that comes. Yeah, that definitely comes.
House of the Incest Dragon. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the thing when episode 3 or episode 4.
I'll see you guys.
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, Jared.
Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
So episode 3 or 4, that thing happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you mentioned last time that I might want to skip, which I skipped over that scene, and then the whole rest of the thing, I'm like, well, did they or didn't they? And then it turns out it doesn't matter because they do anyway.
Yeah.
They start, and then they stop.
Yeah. So
it's implied that he can't really get it going, and especially when you get around to him talking with his wife, you get that extra level of implication that he can't always get it going. And I think that there's some struggle in that scene trying to figure out whether he's upset about it because Rhaenyra starts to get into it, or just the fact that he's not sure if he's comfortable with it because it's his niece. But one degree or another, he ends up just giving up because he just can't get it going.
Yeah. Well, either way, it doesn't matter because they get married anyways.
Yeah. Right.
That makes it okay.
Yeah, you can marry your uncle.
bro.
It's
Hey,
all good.
I think that's less weird than the brother and sister that are married. So
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
oh, that's
Or
so
the
fucked up.
twincest that goes on in the original
so-
Game of Thrones.
So that is brother and sister that with
Yes.
the
So
king.
Aemon, the one that becomes king, that's
he's
his
married
sister.
to his,
That's
he's married to
older
his sister. There's a literal line where he's talking to his
that's
brother.
what I thought, and I
There's
was
a line
so
where he's
confused.
talking to his brother where he's like, I can't believe mom's making me marry our sister, and Aemon says, "Oh, I'd screw her if it was my responsibility."
Yeah,
You're like, "Oh, that's so weird."
gotcha. Yeah, that
he
makes
says,
sense.
"I would fulfill my duty if I were asked."
Oh yeah, of course.
I forget,
Just for
Aemon-
booty.
Friggin' Aemon is
Aemon, oh goodness.
such
Okay,
a good character.
Let's talk just a little bit more. What you've been feeling and thinking as you've watched and caught up with everything these last couple weeks.
Oh, so good. Like the dialogue is so subtle
It's
sometimes.
so good.
Where they dance around like that one scene with that bee guy, whatever his name is,
The
that
bug
was
the
talking to the queen.
foot fetish guy.
Yeah, the foot fetish guy. But when we first talked to
Strong.
Laris, yeah.
Laris, yeah, something like him.
The scene when we first meet him and he's talking to the queen in the
Good night,
courtyard
Jacob.
area.
Thanks for joining us.
They're talking
Congrats on 100
around.
subs.
Good
Oh
job.
yeah. They're literally having a conversation about something else while talking about something completely different.
Exactly.
It's so
And
good.
it was so well done. You know
Mhm.
exactly what they're talking about, but they never say it. And it's so good. And
Contrast that
after
with
that
Rings of
scene,
Power,
I
where they
yes.
constantly tell you what they're talking about and they never say it.
Exactly. It's just it was so good. But yeah, it's fantastic. And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say my absolute favorite, and it's just I've said it a couple of times on here, so I apologize for those that are hearing this repeated. But just like, especially because it was contrasted the same week that Rings of Power had an episode with a dying king in a bed, having a mistaken conversation. You contrast the one in Rings of Power where you're just like, why is this? What is happening? I don't get it. We don't care. To watching this happen in House of the Dragon, you're just like,
also
no, I know
line that
exactly
the
what's
king
happening here and how bad this is and how much
Yes.
it's going to mess everything up because they just kind of probably fixed it and it's going to destroy it all. And it was
Yes.
so
And
It was
done.
so well
in
done.
Rings of Power, the line that the king says to
I know what you do in the dark.
Yeah, she like it's so disconnected. Even if he was
Yeah.
saying, why would he say that to his daughter?
We don't know. It didn't explain
Like
it.
it's so disconnected. I see what you've done in the dark behind closed doors, and that's why I want to tell you my deepest, darkest secret. Everybody, what's
The thing
behind door
the thing
number
that he apparently
3?
has seen her already doing, because what she is doing is going up there to look through the Palantir, and then he's saying, "Now go look at the Palantir, but don't look too long." Oh, it was so ridiculous. So like,
Whereas
I
in
love
friggin' Rings of Power, they do the same thing, and it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, House of the Dragon. Oh, and I just love because the dynamic between Alicent and Rhaenyra was so well set up, and the conflict that was there and how that conflict was built makes a ton of sense. The characterization, the way they do it, and then they start to reconcile, and then you see the kids and the reasons that they're having issues and the way, which culminates in this episode in such an amazing confrontation.
That was
with
amazing.
those dragons. That was so good. I was telling my wife all about it. I'm like, this is a payoff of so much going on right here. And especially looking at the expressions on Aemon's face. Because you see that there's layers. He knows he screwed up. He realizes he probably didn't really know what he was going to do. He hadn't thought through what he was going to do and realized what it would mean. And then when it happened because he lost control of his dragon, he's like, oh, that was bad, and that's actually even worse because even if I'd wanted to do it, that's the first stroke of and then when you see Rhaenyra get the news and her turn around,
there are consequences to your actions in this show.
Well,
unlike another show which will go unnamed.
The other beautiful thing, because you see they've done this in several different places where imagine he comes back or there's some sort of a confrontation and they're like, you killed my son, and he's like, I lost control of my dragon. I didn't mean to do it. Which we have seen is actually factually true. He was messing with him. He probably wanted to hurt him, but it was factually true that he lost control of his dragon, and that's what happened when the son died. But can you blame Rhaenyra or Daemon or any of the rest of them when they look at this guy who had his eye slashed out by young Lucerys?
And there's witnesses of him saying, "Hey, I'm gonna take your eye,"
and then immediately flying off after him.
Yeah,
when they said, "We don't believe a freaking word out your lying mouth," you want to
exactly. It's good. It's
like,
set up.
it
It's set up
makes
so
no
well.
sense.
Like
It's just
even in the books, like it's kind of left ambiguous. Like there are multiple accounts,
right,
of people telling the same story.
It's all just told, okay.
and different people telling the story have different biases, and so sometimes they paint different characters in different lights. But there's one account saying that the girl that Aemon was betrothed to eggs him on and says, "Go bring me his eye," right? And but the what's even like the death scene is you don't see it in the books. It says that the people from the castle saw both dragons take off, and they saw fire getting shot at each other, and then one of them ended up dead. So
he never showed back up. Yeah.
So even though they show you what happens in this show, everyone else in the show's universe is basically getting the account from the book, saying, "Well, we saw them fighting before, and we saw fire, and then one of them was
he said,
dead."
she said, he says this, she says that. Well, the same thing happens with Daemon when he's saying that Hightower girl poisoned that Hightower whore, he calls her. She murdered him. She absolutely murdered him and has taken the throne. Where we know she didn't. She cared about him. She was watching him. She just watched him. She might have. There might have been some addling of his brain.
But it's not exactly illogical for him to make that leap.
Exactly. Yeah.
And seeing him going through what he's going through, getting the crown, looking at it and putting it on Rhaenyra, and the struggle that I think that you can see in his face of like, this should have been mine, but I am going to be loyal to my wife niece and give it to her, but also realize that I feel like there's a particular way we need to be handling this, and she's not handling it that way. So I'm going to be loyal to her, but I'm not happy with it. Oh, it's just beautifully done. It's so good.
Yeah. Going back to with the two dragons fighting, that scene, I think it went on a little bit too long, but the visuals were beautiful with just a huge, massive shadow of a dragon passing over him. And then when he comes out of nowhere, and then just the wing of the tiny little dragon is like fluttering down. It's like, oh my gosh.
What I loved about it was, while they're fighting underneath in the storm, I could see feeling like that dragged on a little bit long. But what I thought was beautiful was there was the conflict going on, and then you have Lucerys going up and cresting above the clouds, and you get this beautiful visual of him going like, wow, the peace, the beauty of above the storm and everything else going on. And you get that moment of kind of awe and beauty, and it doesn't take away from how you immediately get brought right back in as he comes up and just destroys him. Because I watched that, I'm just like, that kid, because again, you don't see too much of it, but there is still absolutely no way that kid is anything but swallowed whole at the best.
Yeah.
Not to mention the rest of the dragon being torn apart and Nosh. It's just, oh my gosh, so good.
Well, and they've just set the groundwork for this so incredibly well. Like that they've shown that Lucerys in previous scenes isn't in full control of his dragon. Like they've shown him being scared, right, when he's feeding it in the dragon pit, and he like gets, and they're like, no, you can't show weakness, otherwise it will take over and show control. And like a dragon rider and the dragon, they have like almost like a psychic link, and so like they feel the emotions, and so the dragon gets scared because Luke is scared, and he's like, no, don't do it. And it like, it's such a natural progression that it's cornered.
And then
Vhagar, so it shoots at Vhagar, and then Vhagar is like, well, I'm the biggest dragon ever. I'm not gonna take this insolence flying down and disrespect, and also disrespects his rider and eats the boy. It's good. So it's good stuff.
So I think I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think, because there was one line in here that made me think there may be more to this. And it was a line when Rhaenyra was saying, when dragons go to war, everything burns, right?
Yeah.
And that made me think that maybe it might just be surface level. You know, if we fight with dragons, there's a lot of casualties because, you know, we're fighting
fire with fire and everyone's burned. Yeah.
Right. But there may be something added on top of that. When dragons fight other dragons,
They get excited.
They get excited. We don't have
Targaryen.
control of them. That
Honestly,
may be something else.
It's harder to control them. Yeah, that's exactly what it's alluding to.
That makes sense. Well, and from the little bit that I know, because I never watched Game of Thrones itself, but what I've been able to hear about what this is leading to, the Dance of Dragons and the war that makes it so that by the time Game of Thrones comes around, there are no dragons. So that kind of being alluding to that, not a particularly subtle version, but still alluding to that. Actually, what I just realized as you were asking that, where I thought you were driving with that, is the Targaryens seeing themselves as basically dragons. So when dragons fight dragons, everyone's burned. When the Targaryens fight the Targaryens, everyone will be burned. And I think
there's another layer to that.
There's not
3 different layers to that line.
Still, like it's there. There's layers, and I think it's worth acknowledging them, even if it's not that subtle. But it's
absolutely.
It's good. I think it's still good.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's called good
really
writing.
Good.
You can say multiple things with one line of dialogue. You can say more than one thing.
And it's so good too, because we can see in this episode that Rhaenyra doesn't want to fight. She doesn't want to go to war. And we have, just with that expression at the very end, she's like,
now
she is now she's committed. She's going to fight.
So it's a bit of a change from the books, and I like what they've changed from the books. In the books, everyone's kind of quicker to just go along with it, right? Like Alicent, they've kind of made her more hesitant to go to war. They've made Rhaenyra more hesitant to go to war, and also the scene with Aemon. It's implied in the books that he was trying to kill Luke.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But that's not
the
case. That's not the case in the show. But
I can understand.
I like it.
He might have even been thinking he wanted to kill Lucerys.
And hadn't even thought of the consequences yet. Yeah,
he didn't realize, and realizing, this is going to have big consequences.
But I like that they've pulled some of these characters back and made them reluctant, and I think it's a good change, because I think it'll be more impactful when all of these characters inevitably start doing horrible things.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, talking about some awesome stuff, we get to revisit the scene of them on the bridge. And once again, you get Rhaenyra coming out, and just an echo of that. It was so beautiful. As soon as I saw him walking out, because they said that the ship was there, I'm just like, we're gonna get. And she's like, where is?
It's literally the exact same scene,
and
but
she flies out,
wildly different context.
Oh, so good.
And you can see she's actually considering it. And I like the line. She's like, look, it's my responsibility to keep everyone safe. Maybe being queen means giving everything up right now. Maybe that is the best move for the people. And you're like, it's noble. It's not going to happen. You know.
And you can even see that while she has considered it, even before before Lucerys dies, she is still committed to saying, I'm going to hold on. I think I really should hold on to my throne. I think actually the discussion with Daemon, realizing that Viserys never told him about the vision, about the Song of Ice and Fire, leads her to even more confidently say, I need to be the one that's actually in charge.
Yeah.
I need to actually be the queen, because it's not just a matter of somebody gets to say who gets to be on the throne. There is something that is being passed between the heirs, and I have been given that, and so I do need to be. So like, she's following through with that, and I think that's why she does eventually make the decision to say, let's see if we can get this all to actually work. Even though she was a little reticent, thinking maybe the best thing is to let him take it so that the realm stays together.
So how do we feel about Daemon choking out Rhaenyra? Was that a confrontation, or was that foreplay?
Yes.
It felt so natural. I was like, I love that there's like contention even between them, and like it was it's powerful.
Exactly like I was saying before, where he's struggling with this fact of like, I think this is what we need to do, and he's mad because so something that they give a little bit of time to, but I don't think they had the ability to give enough power to, was the idea she lost her father. Like, first thing she hears, you lost your father, and by the way, your
best friend just betrayed you. Yeah, after you had a really nice conversation over a nice dinner and some Chianti.
And then she
promised you're going to be friends, and then she it's possible she killed him.
And then
And
she
then
ends up
betrayed you.
giving birth, which I actually do appreciate. One of the things
Also,
from
your
the
baby's
show where
dead.
they talk about the fact where she's like, she has been struggling with like not wanting to be tied down by being mothering and giving birth and things like that. And at this moment where she's just found out her father died, she just found out that her best friend betrayed her in the most intense way. Now this is also trying to hold her back, and she just is so mad about that. She has to tell her son, to tell Damon, stop. I need to be in control. I should be in control. I've been trying to be in control, and this is keeping me from being in control. And then she loses that kid and becomes Viserys himself in burning her unborn child, like he did at the very beginning. And then she still says, "Let's think about this."
There's
In
good.
spite of
There's just
all
good
this
parallels. There's good groundwork. There's good payoffs.
So good.
And can we talk about how freaking cool that castle was? The Baratheon Storm's End.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
castle.
that just single shot looked better than anything I've seen in Rings of Power.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And then they go inside it and they have real sets, and you're like, oh.
So realizing that Rings of Power, part of the like $1 billion cost was them attaining the rights. That was again the smallest little piece of, doesn't make any sense. But I wonder production cost. I want to compare production cost between those two, because once again,
it's a fraction.
It is so much like the production. What you get on the screen is so much better in games of in
difference.
hockey.
Because they both have good looking sets.
They do.
The difference is that the sets on House of the Dragon have personality and purpose. Every single set is different, and they reflect the characters and the events that are happening in those things. Like you go to the not Valerian. They have their own castle that's made out of like ships put together. You go to Baratheon
and a driftwood throne, literally made out of driftwood.
The sets have personality, and they service the story. With Rings of Power, they've got pretty expensive looking sets. Like they spent Numenor was their most expensive set, and they don't do anything in Numenor. Like it serves nothing.
The CGI looked good most of the time, as opposed to this show having freaking dragons and cities built like that.
It's the same issue that I had with the costumes in Rings of Power.
Yeah,
is that yes, they looked nice, but they looked like costumes because they didn't have personality. They didn't feel lived in. The costuming on House of the Dragon is hands down the most brilliant costume work I've seen in any production ever, TV or movies. This just the costuming alone deserves Oscars. Every single character is reflected in the clothing that they are wearing, and they have personalities, and just it's so good. Also, if you've been watching Shadiversity, Shad Brooks, it's really accurate. Like they put care. There are a couple little funny mistakes, right?
Yeah,
but
the woven chest plate is kind of silly, but it's cool looking.
It's not a plate though. It's like leather armor though.
No. I mean the
Kingsguard for the white
breastplate for the Kingsguard. Yeah,
breastplate,
it's kind of has this woven metal strands.
But that's almost looking. Ceremonial, you know.
Yeah.
But he's been talking about a lot of the armors and costumes are like super authentic. And
by the way, that execution of, I think it's called the painted table. Oh, that was so cool! I love
that. Was so cool.
The light up table.
They slide it underneath the table.
It was a bright light.
Oh,
it was so cool.
So good. I don't know about the realisticness of that much of those few candles that far below it being able to light it up that well. But man, did it look freaking cool! Oh
yeah,
it was awesome.
Because
you saw it a handful of times beforehand.
They have lewd tapestries as well. Yeah,
that's true. They used
tiny details like
that's actually an interesting point that I saw was they used to in the in King's Landing, and then
get removed by Alicent.
Last time jump when Alicent is pushing her because she's being very religious with the 7 stars and whatever.
She
they've
takes them all
removed
out.
Yeah,
Does she?
which
Yes.
was also kind of an
Well,
interesting.
Rhaenyra
thing.
makes the comment. She's like, "This place doesn't even look like home anymore."
Exactly, because
Allison
it's
just
nothing
taking
like
off.
what she's used to.
Alice is taking down all our lewd paintings.
All the things-
Yeah.
Which
She took
then
down
becomes even more funny.
the Targaryen symbol as well and changed it to the
which is also even more interesting because obviously the Targaryens had not been particularly concerned with a religion. We have not heard much talk of religion, and the only talk of religion we've seen has come from Alicent in her replacing the decorations in King's Landing until this episode where Rhaenyra leans on swear on our Bible thing here to the 7 people or whatever.
There was also that episode in 1 or 2 when Alicent and Rhaenyra pray before the statues or whatever.
That's true.
The candles.
In that area, but there's very little of it, and in particular, the Targaryens and Rhaenyra have not, and that's one of those things that I think, as somebody coming from a religious perspective, has made me want to side with Alicent a little bit more. Is feeling like, at least for the most part, there's some morality that I feel like I could at least try to get behind, that they're trying and theoretically trying to follow.
Although I think this finale might have swayed me onto Team Black.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is so well done that I can't say I'm so against or for either one, because again, you can understand where Aemon is coming from and what he's done, and because he looks at Aegon and he's just like, Aegon is a fool. He's an idiot. A drunk
also
idiot.
Daddy Hightower did some pretty gross things,
and all of that sort of stuff going on, and he is right in the fact that these 2 kids are not Valerians. They're not who they're saying they're supposed to be. They are Strongs. And so like I get him needling them and calling him Lord Strong constant, which that was so beautiful again. Just such a little turd.
So he shows up at Storm's End.
Mm-hmm.
And the shot where, like, I knew it was coming, but the shot where they reveal the other, there's another dragon there, and you literally see the actor just like gulp, and she's like, "Oh, frick!"
I've been beaten here. They've already come. They've already gotten here, and you get to Lord Baratheon, who's like, my father made this oath, and at least these guys are offering me something, not just trying to remind me of what's right.
That's something I didn't quite like that scene. That's one thing I didn't really like, because he said, "Oh, okay, you've offered me a marriage proposal," but then right after that, this guy goes freaking nuts and almost like bashes this guy's eye out in his thing.
He didn't say that he'd accepted, though.
That's true.
He was saying, "Hey, it's kind of insulting. These guys at least offered me something, and you're just saying, hey, fulfill your oath."
And once again, it's even an aspect of that king of the Baratheon dude saying, "Look, you've come in. This guy's presented his argument. You've presented your argument, and you are the messengers. I'm not going to kill the messengers. I'm not going to let messengers be killed here. I even was fine with. I've basically decided to go with Aemon and his proposal with the Greens." But that doesn't mean that I have to let the son of, because he also recognizes how messed up and bad and how hard things would come down on him if he allowed the son of the queen, of the person who's claiming to be queen, to die on his.
He literally says, like, "Hey, if you're gonna do this, like, go out, take it outside. Don't do it here. I don't want to
here. Don't do it here, because I don't want any blame on this." Martina's absolutely right. He probably should have been like, Vagar's already there.
No,
I knew that Aemon's going to mess me up.
Martina's wrong here, and this is what
that would have showed weakness.
Martina, this is what the show set up so well. Is he just had a conversation with his mom about putting duty before fear.
That's a good point.
And so I literally heard her words, when they do it cliche in movies where you're the chosen one, right? Like when he sees, I saw his character do the double take and then listened to what his mom said and decided to go in anyway. And
that's a good point. I mean, it would have been the safe and the right and the good choice. Like, it would have saved him and all that. But
yeah, it would have been the logical choice. But he was putting his duty before his own fears, and
again, that's why I also am totally fine with the way that Baratheon dude handled it, saying he's fulfilling his thing. I'm not going to I'm not going to kill him.
Do not kill the messenger.
Yeah,
please.
Do not kill the messenger who is the son of another person who has.
Don't kill the
13
messenger
dragons to
who's
your
also
four.
a prince. Please don't do that.
Yeah, bad idea. But you get Aemon's issue where he's like, you freaking took my eye. Yeah, like I want recompense for that. So you kind of get Aemon and realizing that from their perspective, they really do feel like having those Targaryens on the throne makes way more sense than having a strong bastard on the throne.
This show,
so like you get where they're coming from, but
great.
They're just such little turds.
Yep.
It's funny because this show was good into the finale. You know, it was all good, all overall. There was just one scene that was bad, and then the whole show was good, really good, and the finale paid off, completely paid off.
Oh, so good. I loved it. I loved it all. I even didn't mind that last scene in the previous episode. I went with it. I get the problem, but I'm even down with that, and it just it was so good.
It was more a funny scene more than anything.
Oh,
yeah, so good.
And so they're already, they've been hinting that season 2 might be done in less than a year.
Oh, that'd be great.
Which
shows
is
like this
a
have
stark contrast to Rings of Power. Sorry, season 2 probably won't be around for another 3 years.
Yeah, more so if they're actually canning the showrunners.
Which I hope they do, because that's the best chance they have of actually making it into something worthwhile.
But no, it'll either be late 2023 or early 2024. Like the turnaround is like it's going to be should
1 year
should be a yearly release. Now that
That's
you know
awesome.
now that all the COVID stuff is over, and at least in regards to their scheduling, like
and they're able.
It's going to be a yearly release.
They've had a chance to figure out how to deal with whatever they need to deal with for it. And that's the thing. Is shows like this, from what I've been able to gather, it doesn't seem like there is often a yearly release. So I can be behind the fact that
it was with Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones came out every year until the last season.
They're just pretty big shows. I guess they're only the 10 to 12, however many episodes, but like they're pretty big and have a lot of post-production work. And I know there's supposed to be a big post-production like clog in the pipeline with that. So
the effects. But you can
that's awesome.
They do so good. It looks.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to say that I liked about the show, and like I said, I haven't seen the original Game of Thrones, so I don't know if there's more of this in the original. But I really liked seeing the different practices, I guess, from the different areas around Game of Thrones, specifically with the funeral services. I love House of the Dragon. They burn their bodies, but ceremoniously by dragon, and the driftwood people, they put them up in this metal coffin
and them back to the sea because the sea is always right. Oh, wait, sorry.
Because the sea is always right. Yeah, but yeah,
she's always all right.
Love that little touch.
It's all right.
She's all right. Elbow cough. But yeah,
yeah, it is very cool,
fantastic,
and that I think that ties in exactly with what we were talking about with the different stylistic choices on the kingdoms, the castles that they have, the thrones that they have. Like it all is just so good.
It's been thought out,
and I love that you had Lord Eric come in and bring in that crown, because you saw that he had made that turn, that choice the previous episode where he's like, Aegon is an idiot. He's not gonna it's not gonna be a good king. We put up with it.
That was so good. That scene was so
he
good.
is always full of dead people.
Yeah, it had so much meaning behind it. No, his father's crown. He brought it back to her, and it was so good.
Yep,
it's good stuff.
You're the conqueror's crown. Here's your father's crown that he gave to you, that he decided you should have.
Yeah,
David, did you get what we were saying about the last episode though? How it was kind of dumb. Just the last thing. Like,
I agree. It was a little bit clunky,
and I'm willing to push past it.
Yeah.
But it kind of ruined Rhaenys' character. Like, she had some lines in this episode that I'm like, shut up. Like she's like, I could have, because and Damon brings it up. At least they addressed it. Damon brings it up. Hey, you could have ended the war, and she says, yes, but that was not my. It was not my place to start this war. I'm like, you are insane if you think what you did not start the war. Like everyone's saying, like, yeah, we're at the point of no. We're past the point of no return with Daemon killing Lucerys of the dragon. I'm sorry, but no. Like, you were already at war when Rhaenys decided to nuke half of King's Landing. That started the war. There was no going back from that moment. And they're trying to gloss over it because it was stupid and say
I actually kind of do think that there's a lot of these were just peasants, and so
they literally said that the showrunner who's fired, he literally said in an interview, these were Game of Thrones people, so they don't count. These were Game of Thrones lives. They don't matter.
Which I think that the royalty, the house.
Glad he's gone. Okay,
I'm down with the fact that like even her when she's trying to say that it's more important to do with to work with the people, she still doesn't actually care for their lives very well because she's a royal that is just stuck up in there and is more interested in considering to burn them than actually caring about the people,
I'm a bit confused about one other thing. It's a minor, right? That it's because it's a change from the books. It's confusing to me why Rhaenyra wouldn't tell the Valerians about their son. That's just one other thing that's bugging me. Like,
about their
they went out of their way. They could have just killed him. They went out of their way to give him a happy ending and let him live.
Right, about Rhaenys' son.
And they desperately need these people to join their side. And they are not playing that card, saying, hey, we didn't kill your son. He's happy banging some dude on the seas.
It makes me wonder if
it wasn't that way in the books. They did kill him.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if maybe Rhaenyra wasn't involved in the specifics. She just said, I need my husband to be gone and dead so that we can marry. I think that they're also probably afraid of the idea that admitting that that the son is not actually dead, and so marrying her uncle is even more illegitimate or more problematic. Like, maybe there's some problems there.
Okay, but if you were as desperate as they were showing these characters in this final episode, you gotta play that card. Like, hey, Rhaenys,
I'm not confident that playing that card would actually win them to your side. That's my point. Is I just the fact that he's alive.
You can play it. You can play it off though. You can say, hey, it's what he wanted.
Yeah.
He asked, you could literally say, he begged us to do it.
Yeah. He wasn't
so that he could go live in peace.
Rhaenys might be okay with that one, but Corlys, I think, would have a harder time with that one.
Definitely.
Because he's the one that's saying, oh, it's just a phase and he'll get over it.
But you literally see him in this episode saying, but they murdered my boy.
But what that brought him to was not turning against them in any way, shape, or form, but deciding to just stay out of it. And again, we see that even though Rhaenys was a little bit fickle, she wasn't quite sure where she was going to land with it. She was the one that convinced him to say, we really should stick with them, because even though all that has happened, I am now seeing that she is actually level-headed and handling this well. And they are still, at least in some name, that there's some degree of connection there, because they're going to marry our other daughters that are actually part of it. Like, yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from, but I'm just still not quite convinced that would have actually been successful. It could have been.
It would have helped.
Even if it wasn't successful, it's better than, okay, so we deceived you, or hey, we killed your son. I mean,
neither is good, but I don't know if being told, oh yeah, we faked you out. We didn't actually kill your son. We just made you suffer grief for the past, however many, a couple of years. for
Well,
nothing.
you play it off that, like, if you didn't act bereaved, then no one would have bought it.
You can get it there. It could have gone that way, but I agree with the idea that I feel like it would have been too risky. But that's just me, and I don't know. It could have worked, but
yeah.
Martina has a good point. It's also giving them another card to play in the future, perhaps.
Maybe. I hope they do address it. But
I suspect they won't, but if they do, I hope that they try to use it as a card to play, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens when they do play that card, if it backfires or if it doesn't backfire, because both could be really interesting stories. I think it backfiring could be a really interesting story if they try to use it to sway them or keep them or whatever, and it backfires on them.
I think it would be interesting if they bring it up, and like you said, Corlius, Lord Corlius doesn't buy it. He doesn't want anything to do with it, and Renice is still on their side. It's like I understand that was the only thing,
and it made him happy, and it brought
exactly
let him go off and have a happy ending.
That could be an interesting dynamic to do. Yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely invested for season 2.
Especially seeing as how in the books they actually killed him off. I think there's a good chance that they won't revisit it. But I mean, that's the thing. This is a place where they changed the books, but especially if they never bring them back, it makes almost no difference. Like there's options like this where they could play those cards, but other than that, it doesn't negatively affect the story, and it allows for some really cool other things, other possibilities, and that could come back. Like, I think it's solid.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I gotta say goodbye. I have an early morning tomorrow, so it was great having
Thanks for
to
joining
be
us, man.
here again.
Always
Great to
good hanging
talk
and
about
chatting.
these shows, and hope to see you next week as well. See you.
Peace out.
Great as always, Mixer.
Bye. Adios, mis amigos.
Adios.
I think the only thing we haven't talked about is the Peripheral, and I've only gotten through the first episode in 10 minutes or so. The second,
I watched all 3 of them.
I watched the first 2.
It's pretty good. I really like episode.
I don't mind.
I didn't realize the 3rd episode had come out until I sat down and was preparing for this. I was like, oh, there's a episode 3. Did it come out Saturday?
I think it says
I don't
Fridays.
know. We watched it. We watched it last night. So
okay, yeah, because I watched them earlier in the week, and there was only 2. So
episode 1 was good. It was confusing and weird, but then I think a lot of my questions were answered. At least partially in episode 2.
Yeah, they give you a lot of answers.
Yeah, and
you get a lot. You get a lot more answers than the Outer Range gives you.
Yeah.
It's good. It's I think it's a good premise. I have some issues. They aren't deal breakers. There was one moment where they got a little feminist, where they're like, oh, what's going to happen if they find out you're a girl instead of the guy that you were supposed. I'm like, no one would care. If you're good at video games, no one cares. Okay. And the other thing I have is I feel like the representation of video games in the show is moronic. It's so stupid, and these people have never actually played a video game because
they have played or
there is
a video game.
There was no existence on Earth where you'd have a video game that people have only gotten to. No one's ever gotten past level 50. Has never happened. Have you seen the things that human beings are capable of in video games? They can beat Dark Souls with bananas. Okay, with DDR controllers. Okay, the human race is full of
very dedicated people,
absolutely insane video game people. It is stupid how much it's stupid in the coolest way possible, like how much passion people put into video games. It's insane. Okay, like
speed running, stupidest thing. They will find ways over and over again to break the game.
It is a testament to the human condition
To find a way to challenge themselves even more on a game that is already ridiculously challenging.
It's crazy what people do in video games. And
Mm-hmm.
so to have this video game where, oh man, no one has ever beaten it because no one has ever thought about empathy before. Like no one's ever thought that maybe I should let the chickens out. Are you kidding me? You don't limit test these. Like people would, that game would have been beaten on its release day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like that's how video games work. You don't
Yep.
like
even
if people were devoid of empathy, they would have been limit testing. They would have been looking for bugs and exploits. Someone would have released the chickens. Okay. It's the same problem I had with the.
As soon as someone did, there would be forums online explaining walkthroughs.
Release the chickens. Chickens give you a tractor, guys. It was pigs, right? Or
it was goats, actually. I think.
Goats. Okay, so
yeah,
that's stupid. It's not a huge deal breaker because they quickly moved on from the video game aspect, and it's real world stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me that much, but it bothered me a little bit.
I think the only other thing that was a little bit unbelievable for me was the in that first episode, I think it was the first one, with him and his ex-military buddies, how quickly they were able to turn on more actively ex-military, like ex-military people who so similarly ex-military, but who were actually on an operation.
I didn't mind that. It was kind of like the whole
didn't throw me off too much. I think it's they presented it believably enough because they were able to get a heads up.
They both got their licks in, right?
And they know that they are all ex-military as well. But
I liked it.
So it didn't bug me too much, but it was definitely like I don't know if it would have been as easy as they made it out to be with these ragtag, partially drunk dudes that are completely out of the game right now versus these ones who are involved in operations right now.
I don't know. It made sense to me because they got their warning, and so they were able to quickly come up with just
a drone and hack the drone.
Just a simple way to get a massive tactical advantage, and they took. It was good, and that it didn't work perfectly, right? Yeah,
it's a small gripe that doesn't throw me off much, but it definitely made me go, okay. This to me was plot armory, kind of like protagonists win because protagonists, bad guys lose because bad guys. But I was okay with it. It's just something to think about.
I didn't mind that. I did mind. What kind of bothered me is they go on this big military thing and take out the people that were attacking them, and then they decide to just hack the bodies up and bury them. It's like, why wouldn't you go to the police and explain, hey, we were attacked and we shot these guys down in self-defense?
They actually did. They did have a line where she had gone back into the sim, and when she came out, her brother said, we've discussed burning, burying, or even the straightforward answer of going to the police, but we wanted to talk to you first because they wanted to see what she was able to find out from being in the sim and all that. And then she said, bury him. So
okay,
I don't know.
I missed that. Then.
Yeah. So there was a spot where they were like, we could burn him, we could bury him, we could even go to the police.
I think there's an element of like we don't know who to trust at this point too.
That's why I think it was that question of should we go to the police? Yeah.
It's intriguing. I disliked the whole empathy bonus thing. It's stupid, but it's cool, and I think I like the portrayal of future London, like those weird statue things that are in there.
Very interesting.
I'm intrigued to see more. I think where they're going with it is it's not the future, but it's the future in a parallel universe, and the future London is basically sucking the life out of parallel universes, which is why they have eternity at their fingertips. Like, it's because at the beginning, what's Ava? What's the girl they're looking for?
Allison? No.
Whatever. She says I'm going to save a world. I'm going to save a world. And he says this world is already lost, and she says I'm not trying to save this world.
I didn't say our world.
One of the parallel universes that's about to be eaten up by our current universe or something like that.
That would make sense. Yeah, because the subtitles do have a world. He then starts talking about their world, and she says, I didn't say our world.
Yeah, they're still, they still have those questions that they're not answering. I don't know, maybe in episode 3, but when she says, "Hey, they're clearly not telling me everything. These future guys aren't telling me everything. What am I missing?" And
There's
they're
a
like,
little bit more
"That's
in
okay."
episode 3.
But yeah, I think because they're going down in episode 1 when they're going down the elevator, is like, "What's this? It's eternity. It's we have everything." So how other way could you have everything? Like, it's gotta be.
That's a good theory.
For sure.
And that makes sense with the show, Peripheral. Like it's not time travel. It's
on the side. It's
sideways
travel. It's side travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. And it might not even be in the future. It could just be like in this world, they're just 40 years more advanced.
Yeah, or 70 years. Yeah, whatever it was.
Or the timelines are just skewed on.
I do also really like the it's about 10 years in the future from us, the 2032, the technology they've got. There's some cool stuff that they got there. The haptics that they have, the sound effects that they added for those definitely was getting me the heebie-jeebies each time those would activate during their military operation.
Oh yeah. Getting a little
that's that unsettling feeling, but I believe that's absolutely an intentional. Like that's what they want out of that, is a little bit of an unsettling coolness. The little ring in the eye as an aspect of what they're able to see and click into. Like I think those are some cool concepts, and it doesn't seem overused. It seems relatively realistically presented.
Did it give you some like trypophobia,
Yeah, not too much of that. I didn't have that problem with it. It was more the sound than the visual, but I think seeing them moving under the skin, it's like from the Mummy where the scarabs are moving underneath the skin. That's a heebie-jeebies.
Oh, yeah.
You've got that thing moving under the skin with the sound.
Give us the Mummy 4. Give us the Mummy 3 again.
Yeah,
either one. I'll be fine with either one.
Right.
Yep.
Redo, retcon Mummy 3.
Did we talk Black Adam at all?
I haven't seen it.
Did you see it?
There's a chunk in the middle.
Black? Cultural appropriation. The Rock is canceled.
There's a chunk in the middle that I think had some good little dialogue and back and forth and stuff, but most of the rest of it was just kind of a mess.
I've heard it's incredibly average, which sounds like the basic Marvel movie right now. So yeah, it's probably good.
I'd actually even put it below average. It really was not a particularly well told story. I feel like they had a couple things they wanted to explore, and they didn't really lean into them very well. And I think they were struggling with the presentation of Black Adam can't be a hero, but he also is going to be our hero. And figuring out,
I think that was a bad choice. I think making him an anti-hero was stupid, and he should have just been a villain. It's The Rock, and so The Rock has to be a good guy.
And I think that it can be done well, but I don't think they did it well.
Or at least have him start off as a villain and then change, like Loki.
And they didn't really have that happen either. They gave him too much of a tragic. I'm not a hero, even though I saved the people that need, but I didn't save the people that I should have saved, and I've
heard Pierce Brosnan is great in it, though.
Pierce Brosnan is fun. He does a good job. But for me, I'm just excited because as somebody who hasn't spent a lot of time with the actual comics, so to me that feels like a pretty deep cut, because the only exposure that I have to it is the little bit that they start, they hint at it in Smallville, I think.
He's
with
the
Dr.
DC.
Fate.
He's the DC's Doctor Strange.
Yeah, kind of. I think that there's a little bit more to him because the helmet kind of possesses him, so there's a little bit of something else going on there. But especially in this movie, he is absolutely the DC's Doctor Strange. So there were some fun lines towards the middle. There was some fun little stuff between The Rock and Hawkman. But it was kind of in the middle of this is kind of a weird setup and confusing in ways that I don't think it's fulfillingly confusing or appropriately confusing, and then it wraps up into that doesn't, why are they doing it that way, and then they're just going to do this, and yep, that's exactly what they did, and it wasn't.
What's the other so it's there's 4 members of the Justice Society. It's Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Storm.
So her name is Cyclone.
I hate her redesign. They had concept art released of what I think she looks really stupid in the movie.
I don't know what she looked like in the
concept art looked so much better.
Yeah,
but and then
I didn't mind her.
It was the 4th one.
What was that?
The guy
the fourth one
who's
was
just in
supposed
like a
to be
bodysuit.
The Atom. It's Atom Smasher. So, but
Yeah,
it's basically the Atom. I don't know if there's a difference in the comics between Atom versus Atom Smasher. Again, I'm mostly familiar from the TV shows, so the DC CW shows with Atom, played by Brandon Routh and all that. And he looked just like him. I guess he's supposed to be the nephew of the original guy that did it, sort of thing. Was the an issue there, but both he and the Cyclone Girl were very, very minor parts. They kind of just served to do a little bit of exposition dumping and a little bit of message chirping, but it wasn't talking about. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a good term for just like they kind of communicate a couple of the different like. There's somebody to bounce off conversations with, say like, oh yeah, these people are already being oppressed, and it's not the most heavy-handed with some of the things it goes, because it doesn't really lean into it, but there's a couple of other little like socially type issues that they try to explore, but again, they don't really lean into it very well. Yeah. So you might take more issue with that, some of the social aspects that they try to explore, but it ends up being such a small little bit of it that they just didn't do it well anyway. So, and it was just such a small bit that I'm like, whatever. It was definitely a negative on the movie, but not a didn't take me out of it any worse than just the fact that it wasn't great. My wife fell asleep in it, and she doesn't usually fall asleep in action. Like, I mean, she'll fall asleep sometimes, but she'll usually stick it out through most of the like big action Marvel, DC movies and stuff like that. She was just like, nope, okay, I went to sleep.
Yeah. When I'm forgetting something so there's Black Adam, and then Wakanda Forever is the next release, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like there's another
Flash.
Release. Who knows if the Flash will ever
should
come
be coming
out,
soon.
No, there's another one in between. I don't know.
Another Marvel or DC?
I thought there was something big.
There's Ant-Man Quantumania.
Oh, that was the other one. Yeah, that was it.
Yep. There's Glass Onion coming out, new Knives Out one.
That's
should
next
be in
month.
theaters for about a week. Yeah, that's about a month from now, the 23rd. It's only going to be in theaters about a week. It sounds like though.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a limited because it's on Netflix.
Yeah, it's a Netflix movie, and they made a deal to put it in wide release in theaters for a week, and actually do some marketing on it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I liked Knives Out a lot.
I'll have to see that while it's in the theaters because I don't have Netflix anymore.
Well, I'll sign back up for like a week for the month, so. And then delete it.
Yeah.
And just wait until David's daughter re-ups it again on you.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the 23rd, and then I think it's like 10 days later is the Netflix release. So next week we've got Andor episode 9.
Expecting
we got no more hot D, but I'm fine in watching the Peripheral. I think it's a decent show.
Yeah. It's as interesting to me as like the Outer Range was.
Avatar's coming out in December.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what I was thinking.
I went and watched the original one. They did a re-release, and I went and watched it in theaters. It's solid. It's good. It's a good spectacle. It's a good, yeah.
It's the kind of movie you want to see in theaters. It looks great. The story was kind of stupid, but the special effects were admirable.
Special effects were great, and the world building of Pandora was kind of interesting. Some cool things there, and like I get the criticisms. I think that a lot of the criticisms is backlash from the wild. Everybody was going crazy about it because it was supposedly so amazing at the time. So it's a little overblown, but it still doesn't mean it's bad. Like people want to kind of frame it as like, oh, it's
can you name any of the characters by name?
Well, so there's Sully, obviously. He's the main one. Man, I did watch it a while ago. Neytiri is the girl.
Okay.
Well, I thought it was Naomi, but yeah.
No, they're called the Navi.
The Navi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can remember Sigourney Weaver's character's name.
It's just kind of forgettable,
Yeah. Well, it is a little forgettable.
It also came out, what,
13 years ago.
13, yeah, 12.
Yeah, but if you
13
asked me
years
that
ago?
same question 13 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer it.
And again,
either.
I watched it again just a month ago or less, and I'm coming up with two names.
You were struggling.
Yeah, I was struggling.
Yep.
I wish, again, it's one of those ones where I think that I would be able to recognize it if you were to refer to the Sigourney Weaver's character, the other one of the big ones.
I thought it was just Sigourney Weaver. Does she have a name?
She does. It's a name. It has words and sounds. And she dies and doesn't get transferred into her.
The new one, it looks like it'll be fun to watch. I can't say anything about the story, but
yeah, we'll have to see. But the biggest thing for me is always that James Cameron doesn't ever do anything poor, like really, really poor. Like all of his stuff has been good and generally wildly successful. Like he has the two of the top 3 highest grossing box office, and Terminator 2, a lot of people say is the best Terminator movie. Like,
ever seen The Abyss?
I don't think I have.
It's a good one.
That's good.
Yep.
They did some incredible water effects before CGI was a thing.
Yeah,
it was all done with math, and it to this day. I mean, yeah, it doesn't quite hold up, but it looks pretty good. Yeah.
Speaking of effects and a little bit about James Cameron, if you haven't gotten around to checking out Light and Magic, and I think I've plugged this a couple of times, but Light and Magic on Disney Plus has been a solid watch to see how ILM came to be and the sorts of things that they were doing in the 80s, looking at computer graphics and the things that they would do for that was really, really groundbreaking. Seeing the way they set up people like Joe Johnston, who directed the first Captain America, and Jumanji, and like a bunch of other like really solid movies, all coming out of ILM, all George Lucas's fault. Pixar itself, all George Lucas's fault.
Yeah.
Good stuff to watch.
I have IMDb pulled up right now though, and they already have slates for Avatars 2 through 5.
At least.
Yeah. Oh, there's 5. I thought there was only 4 of them.
Yeah. So The Way of the Water comes out this year, and then 3 is slated for 2024. And then 4 is slated for 26.
Because originally
and
they were
5 is
planning on
slated
doing
for 28.
They're planning on releasing an Avatar, and then the next year a Star Wars, and then an Avatar, and then Star Wars. Yeah,
but
it's no longer the case.
I was
how on
earth
are they going to get
doing a little bit of not necessarily filming them all at once, but trying to film them kind of a little bit tighter, like planning on we're going to film them all and not necessarily waiting in between as much. But
how on earth? It says they're currently filming Avatar 5 and 4, and 3 is in post production.
That sounds about right.
So they filmed 2 and 3 at the same time.
That sounds right. For some reason, I had in my mind that they were at one point considering doing up to 7, but most of what I've heard is referring to just the 5. So maybe I misheard, or maybe they've cut it back down to 5. But or maybe I'm thinking about the Power Rangers. They were going to do 7 of them. The movie was okay, but
they're making a True Lies TV show.
Oh no! Really?
Oh,
you can't do that. That's a perfect movie. Don't ruin it.
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh, it's so good.
They made
Arnold Schwarzenegger and
it's good.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah. So good.
Did anyone watch they did a Lethal Weapon TV show? I saw the trailer for that, and it's just like, oh my gosh, why would anyone do this?
I think I heard about that coming around, but
I saw a banner for it in a streaming thing. I was like, no.
No. Yeah.
There are some movies you don't touch,
Yeah, watch The Abyss. I really it's a slow burn, like esoteric horror.
Nice.
Like, it's good. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta Google esoteric to make sure I used it right.
I suppose it depends on what you were trying to say, but it sounded good enough to me.
Yeah, I used it correctly.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, it's been fun. I think that's it, everybody.
That's all I got.
Yeah, we're gonna have a slight lull in content. But it's nice. I need to read Rhythm of War. So
I've just been listening through the Alcatraz versus the Evil Librarians books again because the 6th book just came out a couple days ago, maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Listen to that. It was solid.
And Brandon Sanderson's Alloy of Law comes out next month too.
Not Alloy of Law, Lost Metal. Alloy of Law is the one that's been out forever.
Yes, right. Sorry.
I'm preparing for that. I'm getting ready.
That's my goal. I'm going to try and finish the Rhythm of War before Dragonsteel. Let me quickly Google when Dragonsteel is because I have tickets.
Yeah, I'm going through Warbreaker.
I thought it was like
the 20. All of those, all the Mistborns again before Lost Metal comes out.
Nice. That's ambitious. I can't read that fast.
I'm audiobooking it, especially for review things that I'm going back over. Like I've already heard it before. I've already read it before. I'm more down for that. I'm finding more and more that works pretty well for me because I can multitask. You know, I deliver papers some weeks and all that, so I can be out doing that and just listening to books on tape. I like reading, but I miss. Yeah, it's so much easier to listen on tape.
It's on the 14th. I might be a bit ambitious.
Nice.
I will. Yeah. I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna do it. No, not.
Get to it. Get to it.
I just finished the Bands of Mourning, and I've been going back and reading the short novellas, the Mistborn novellas, and I'm reading through Secret History now.
Isn't it so? Have you read Secret History before?
That's the one I hadn't read because it had spoilers. So I was
good though.
It's really good, and I was partially spoiled when I read the Wikipedia, the Seventh Shard. What do you call it? Yeah, Coppermind. The Coppermind Wikipedia, and I was like, the Kelsier held the power at the Well of Ascension. I'm like,
wait, what?
No, he didn't. When did that happen? he's dead. I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Always another secret, and boy, just who taught you all of this?
Yeah, that was such a good reveal at the end of Bands of Mourning. I was like, that's awesome.
So good.
Because that's one thing I didn't think quite made sense in the world of Mistborn. You had people worshiping the survivor, right? But he died. Like it feels like more people would be worshiping Harmony because he literally reshaped the world and took the power. Like
they had a head start with the survivor, and a lot of the time with the survivor was because of the Khandra that posed as him as the survivor for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense
for a bit of time. So it's like it fits, good enough. I'd have to check in again on how how they look in Era 2 compared to the people that worship Harmony. But again, it's still
it seems to me that the Church of the Survivor is like the church. It's like the Catholic Church,
right?
Their predominant religion, and then there's some Pathians that worship Harmony, but they're kind of just like few and far between, and they're not organized, and they just do their own thing.
Yeah,
and I thought that was interesting, but it was a little bit weird to me.
I also wonder how much of that's just due to the idea that, like with Church of the Survivor people, they're more oriented towards something that would be an organized religion, whereas Pathians are a little bit less, and so it would have less ability to propagate in that same way. But
it makes sense.
And then I think also Lesteborn's Spook was probably a practicer of the Church of the Survivor, which would have added a lot of legitimacy and kind of emphasis behind that as a religion for the time, since he became their king for the longest time, or ruler, or leader, or whatever they were. Yeah.
But anyways, I'm absolutely loving Era 2. I think it's better than the first Mistborn is so good. But I really, really like Era 2, and the third book in Era 2, The Bands of Mourning, is finally where it starts coming together. I'm like, I can see how this connects to not only the greater mythology of Mistborn, but the entire Cosmere.
It's so much of what you've been
so good,
and it's so much like what you've been saying you want for a Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Like, you talk about your Star Wars sequel idea, and I'm like, just read the Bands of Mourning, just read those books, read Era 2. It's all there. Because again, so that's an exact point of the idea that like Brandon Sanderson, I think with Era 2 of Mistborn, he's done what Legend of Korra tried to do with Avatar better. I enjoyed that Legend of Korra enough, but he does it better with Era 2 of Mistborn. And also this same idea like you wanted to do with Star Wars, like, and he's doing it, and he's doing it well.
Yeah, so it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
The Brando Sando cast's coming sometime, I'm sure. A little bit more of that. I can't wait because in December, we should that might be a time to plan for it. Not to get too into planning for you off the end of the stream, but look at when he does his State of the Sanderson being a time to look at getting stuff, because he even drops hints at FanX or maybe it was New York Comic Con saying like the movie people won't let me say things.
Mm-hmm.
The people won't let me say things that I want to say. So you're like, ooh, but he loves giving it. He loves putting it out there. And so I think, I bet you he is fighting to be able to put some more solid stuff out at his State of the Sanderson.
Oh,
Happy birthday to me.
Definitely.
It's exciting.
Then next year we get to talk about 4 new Brandon Sanderson novels throughout the year. So
it's just we get depressed on this show a lot, but I feel like there is a slow resurgence of independent creators who are helping shift the tides. Like Star Wars is dead and Star Trek is dead and Marvel is dead, but they can be replaced with good things.
Mm-hmm.
Friggin' Shad Brooks. Have you checked on the Kickstarter? $500,000.
Yep.
And he's extending it for another 2 weeks.
It was supposed to close today or yesterday.
Yes, yesterday.
Yeah.
Because of the success, they're extending it for another 2 weeks. He got to deal with the printer to maintain $500,000, and because of it, he's going to do a bunch of other comic books. So there's I think his book is being chopped into 4 comics,
4 graphic novels. Yeah.
Right. So this is just part 1 of those. So they're doing those, but he also is going to do a Star Wars replacement. He's going to do a space opera. He's like, yeah, I want to make Star Wars good again. So I'm going to make my version of Star Wars. And he also, if he makes enough money, he also wants to do a Marvel replacement as well. Like
nice.
And he got Miller to do the art for his.
Yeah, that's insane.
Well, he's been blacklisted by the comic book industry. And he's one of the greatest artists ever alive because of his politics. You can't work in Hollywood if you don't assimilate. And have you seen the comic books that Marvel has been making? Have you seen the artwork from those?
Some of it is really bad. Like
it is
faces are look like they've been punched
garbage.
in the face.
They've ostracized all of the people that are good.
Yeah.
There's one. See if I can find it. We've definitely gone off on a tangent.
We've gone off on tangents from our tangents.
Supergirl. Or no, is it Batgirl? I think it's Batgirl. You gotta see this. It's so awful. Okay. Oops. Hoopsie doopsie. Share my screen. Where is it? I closed my screen shares because I thought I was done. This is an actual panel. Let me make it bigger. Hold on. This is from a Batgirl comic.
Yeah, I have seen several panels, and they're just so terribly drawn.
Just take a while to soak that in.
Oh gosh, sorry, I didn't even see it at first.
This is the current state of comics.
Because you were talking about faces, and so I was looking at her, and
Look at this bathroom. This is supposed to be a bathroom in like New York, right? So it's already way too big for this girl who doesn't have a job to afford. Look at the bathtub.
and look at the wall beyond it.
With
Yeah.
the door.
That door's not opening.
To the bathroom.
Which open
the
in,
bathtub.
By the way, doors open into the rooms you're walking into generally.
And the carpet underneath it.
The rug underneath the bathtub
and the toilet.
And the toilet. And then, of course, the plunger in the rest of the area that the door could theoretically kind of sort of be used.
The door. Why wouldn't you put the plunger over there? Right. Also, you can see like there's more space in this bathroom. Like this isn't even a wall. Like this is a luxury. The rug goes underneath here too. Like it is so astronomically bad. Like the people making comic books right now are retarded.
Yeah,
they've kicked out everyone who was once good at comic books for politics, and now those people are available to make comic books for Shad Brooks and for the Ripaverse.
Yeah.
Oh, here, someone expanded it. Wait, where'd it go? So someone made like a version of how it should look, like zoomed out.
And there's a fridge in the side with the
cabinet.
Doesn't match the
and
angles.
there's another door. So that other door is just a closet.
That's hilarious. This isn't actually from the comic, right? This is
no
satire of the.
Yeah, like but see, look at the curtain. That's just hanging in midair. You know.
Did they build that from other shots that are in the rest of the comic?
Oh no! So they tried to defend it and say, "Hey, this isn't a door lock. This is the curtain, shower curtain."
Oh yeah.
So they zoomed out. Okay, so it looks something like this. That's even stupider. Like
yeah, and you can see in one of the other panels.
They said this is just a wall decoration. It's not a door, guys.
Okay, sure, fine. That is a huge bathroom with the rug going under the tub, and the curtain rod going to nowhere.
Also, I mean, look how amateur this art is too. Even if like, this is not a comic book. This is people playing at comic books.
Yeah.
Doing the bare minimum so they can get their message out there.
I've seen other screenshots too of panels, and the faces are just like so poorly drawn, just rushed to get something out there. Yeah. And the proportions are just so bad. I'm trying to find a screenshot, but I can't find anything right now.
Did you see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cover?
No.
Where they spelled the character's name wrong?
No, did they?
It was a cover issue focused on April O'Neil. No, that's a YouTube video. See if I can find it. Where? I don't want a YouTube video. I want the.
Can you show us the thumbnail on it at least? Or
this is riveting content.
No. You deserve to see the full
in glory of it. Looking for the opposite of glory. Yeah. See it in its full glory and lack thereof.
Oh, someone fixed it. Where's the? I might have to
while he's
save it.
looking. I also went and watched Smile. That was a pretty spooky show.
Smile.
Hey,
Oh, it looks silly.
it's that Martina girl.
Hey. Let me just unplug this.
She complimented us on how good this live stream was, and then we've let it just become listening to Alan looking for stuff. Do we even have any?
Here's his show. It's interesting now.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just providing distraction while Alan searches for whatever.
I was gonna say I watched Smile. It was a pretty good movie. Yep. Very spooky.
I was interested in that one.
We watched The Black Phone. That was good too.
Yeah, I saw the Everything Wrong With on that one because that came out.
Oh, that's right. We watched that when you were here.
That's right. We watched that with you because we watched it in theaters and then we had you guys watch it. That was a very good one. Yeah. Very scary. Trying to think of what other movies I've been to in the somewhat recent past. Good things to check out. Black Adam was lackluster, like I said. What else have I gone to see? I've decided I need to go see this Lyle Crocodile and see what that turned out to be.
Oh gosh!
I have the Regal Unlimited pass, so I can go watch it for free. So I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay.
Well then, yeah.
It was hard to find because they've course corrected. This is the cover art.
Oh dear.
What?
For April O'Neil comic book, but when it was originally released, it was spelled Arpel O'Neil.
Gosh.
It's like Martina said earlier. It's like they are doing this with a first pass only, and they're not taking second passes over. They need some extra QC. I work. This is
the current state of comic books.
Yeah.
What that artist? I mean, like it's
Arpel O'Neil. But yeah, they fixed the title, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like that's like the artwork someone does as like a spin-off. Like, you know how you see like posters made of Lord of the Rings?
No,
stuff?
this is the best of TMNT.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah, that looks like the kids show version of the spin-off thing where they're like, yeah, there was this super popular thing, and we'll do a Disney Channel, Tangled show because that was popular with kids and they'll like it, and this is the art style we can afford because we don't care.
Yeah, but that show is actually good though.
I haven't actually watched it or anything like that, but it's like you see the difference between the art, like the art of the actual thing, and then the other thing.
Yeah.
And this is like
actually kind of like
comic to like
better.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying though. Yeah, it's like it feels like somebody's teenage daughter was trying to copy the cover art, but
yeah. Oh, but that's something I watched recently. Is with some friends we got together and watched Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was very good. Good one to review.
Classic.
Yep.
Good.
Very, very good. Good old Sala.
I was about to say you can't go wrong with the Indiana Jones, but there's the fourth one. So
the thing that brought me to that was thinking about other spin-off ones and the later Aladdin movies, and the third Aladdin movie, the voice of his father is Sala from Indiana Jones, who also, by the way, is Gimli. So that's always fun. Davies.
Found a screenshot of the original. Arpel O'Neil.
TMNT, best of Arpel O'Neil. Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
Arpel is my favorite character.
Well, I think I've got to call myself tonight. If you guys,
I got to call it tonight.
Yep.
It's been a fun.
I'm completely blame free in dragging this out as long as we have.
We'll see you guys next week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been fun.
See you in the next gen.
Bye.
Bye.